Morning, glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. Hugh Hewitt inside the Beltway. It is the story of your life, and today the story is we have an election in 13 days, and the mainstream media continues to suppress the story about the Biden laptop and the emails and what they portend. The lead editorial in the Wall Street Journal this morning sums it up nicely. It is entitled The Bidens and China Business. The story won't go away without explanation, even if the Veep wins, is the subtitle. And the Wall Street editorial board writes, most of the media is ignoring the emails found in Hunter Biden's laptop, but that doesn't mean they aren't news. Joe Biden has an obligation to answer questions about his son's influence peddling and his own financial dealings, notably regarding China. The New York Post last week obtained the contents of a laptop purported to belong to Hunter. The Post has been transparent that it obtained its copy of the hard drive from Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani, who says he received it from the owner of a Delaware computer repair shop, where it was abandoned in 2019. Mr. Biden derides this as a smear campaign, while House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff calls it, without evidence, Russian disinformation. Director of National Intelligence, the Journal continues, John Ratcliffe, says the government has no intelligence to support the disinformation claim. A repair shop order from April 2019 contains Hunter's name and what appears to be his signature. The shop owner supplied a subpoena showing the computer and hard drive were seized by the FBI in December 2019. And the Biden campaign hasn't said the emails are phony. The emails regarding Hunter businesses in Ukraine have been widely reported. But as intriguing is a May 2017 email thread that includes a discussion about remuneration packages for 6 people as part of a business deal with a now defunct Chinese energy titan, CEFC China Energy. The Chinese company was international news a few years ago after the U.S. government charged a CEFC-funded organization with money laundering, and its CEO was detained by Chinese authorities. CNN reported in 2018 that, at its height, CEFC was hard to distinguish from the Chinese government. According to the emails, the Journal continued, both Bidens were in line in 2017 to benefit from a deal with the CEFC. One email appears to identify Hunter Biden as the chair or vice chair, depending on agreement with CEFC. It also refers to financial payments in terms of 20 for H and 10 held by H for the big guy, ? Fox News says it has confirmed the veracity of the email with one of its recipients, and that sources say the big guy is Joe Biden. An August 27 email from Robert Biden, Hunter's legal first name, crows that the original deal was for $10 million a year in fees, but that it had since become much more interesting to me and my family because it included a share in the equity and the profits. The Biden campaign says the Veep's tax returns don't show any involvement with Chinese investments. The Democratic media refrain is that even if this latest emails are real, again, the Bidens do not deny their authenticity, the Journal notes. They fail to prove Mr. Biden broke any law. But felonies aren't the minimum standard for political behavior. Mr. Biden was a private citizen in 2017, but was considering a presidential run. A transaction would have made him or his son partners with an entity tied to the Chinese government and raises questions about judgment and how he would handle China as president. Joe Biden ought to clear the air on this China business in his own political interest. Is he the big guy in the email? What happened with the deal? China will be one of Mr. Biden's toughest foreign policy challenges, and the unexplained documents won't go away once he's elected. If Republicans hold the Senate, you can bet there will be more digging. President Trump, as usual, is muddying the story with inappropriate demands that the Department of Justice investigate a potential crime. But the real burden here should be on Mr. Biden and the press. Perhaps Joe Biden wasn't involved, and Hunter was using his father's name to advance his own business interests. But it's also possible that Joe Biden was aware of the CEFC business and was willing to tell his son that he couldn't trade on his father's name and position. Was unwilling to tell his son that he couldn't trade on his father's name and position. Whatever the truth, The public deserves better than Mr. Biden's Trump-like dismissal of the CBS reporter, who so far is the only one brave enough to ask about the emails. That's the Wall Street Journal lead editorial this morning. I encourage you to send it everywhere. Now, here's the irony. I noticed this morning on my Twitter feed, which I hope you follow. I hope you follow me on Twitter, and I hope you follow me on Parler, the brand new website that is, well, it's relatively new, not brand new. It's a new platform that doesn't censor the news. Parler. And I have an account there, Hugh Hewitt. You can also watch me on YouTube, and many of you are. I'm giving you a salute right now on the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type in Hugh Hewitt and subscribe, or you're following me on Facebook or Instagram. Welcome to all of you. But over on Twitter, this morning I wrote that the editorial, I quoted the Wall Street Journal. Most of the media is ignoring the emails found in Hunter Biden's laptop, but that doesn't mean they aren't news. Joe Biden has an obligation to answer questions about his son's influence peddling and his own financial dealings, notably regarding China. The Democrat media refrain, is my second quote, is that even if these latest emails are real, again, the Bidens don't deny their authenticity, they fail to prove Mr. Biden broke any law. Joe Biden ought to clear the air on this China business in his own political interest. Is he the big guy in the email? What happened with the deal? Whatever the truth, the public deserves better than Mr. Biden's Trump-like dismissal of the CBS reporter who asked questions. And then finally on Twitter, I note, of course, the entire country that follows politics now knows about Biden, the Biden emails, because of the reach of center-right media. All right, you got it? Here's the key. The vast chasm between the MSM and center-right media, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, this radio show, others, Powerline blog, etc., on how to deal with the Biden emails, illustrates why America is so divided. The half of the country absorbing all the media see this and don't trust the MSM as a result. I absorb all the media, as does most of my audience. Responsible center-right media is reporting the entire story, but including necessary caution about the emails. They could contain disinformation, just like Rathergate in 2004. And much of the MSM simply censors the story because it hurts Joe Biden, and they falsely claim a Russian plot. Now, here's the bottom line. Of course, the entire country that follows politics now knows about the Biden emails because of the reach of center-right media, this radio show and others. Everybody knows. So the big loser is MSM and big tech. The country knows the story. They know the questions about the story, but there is no question about the bias of MSM and big tech. None at all. That's, to me, the big takeaway. Even as this all goes on, it's like the Chick-fil-A story. When Chick-fil-A was being boycotted and the media wouldn't cover it and everybody in the country showed up at Chick-fil-A, it taught me something. Everybody knows everything. Everybody knows everything. And we all know about this story and how dirty it is. How dirty it is. We all know what Donald Trump said on Fox and Friends yesterday, cut number 16.
This is the laptop from hell. They say right in the laptop that, the big man has to get 10%. And then in another case, they say 50%. This is 100%. And even if he didn't get, and he does get, and he lives like a king, even if he didn't get all of this money, and everybody's known this in Washington for a long time. This isn't surprising. Nobody's surprised by this. But even if he didn't, you can't go to China and have the son walk out with $1.5 billion to manage. You can't go to Ukraine and have him get $183,000 a month with a $3 million upfront payment. You can't get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. $3.5 million. And you have no experience. You didn't have a job until your father became vice president. It's disgraceful.
1-800-520-1234. Do you know about the story, and what does it tell you about media? That's my question this morning. The Biden email stories, I believe, have got 100% penetration. Everyone has the same questions about Joe Biden. By the way, Donald Trump is closing the gap quickly in the Gallup and the Reuters poll and the IBD tip poll. And I think it's because Joe Biden won't come clean. What do you think? It's the Hugh Hewitt Show. Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance.
So I'm not going to say a word about this
I am
publicly.
their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to hughhewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
Given the human desire for excitement, it cannot be fully expunged. Nor should it be expunged. So trick number one, if it is indeed a trick, is to be excited over the mundane. I think that's the primary solution to the problem. See, the desire for excitement very frequently leads to bad things. It is not inherently a bad thing, but it does almost inevitably, in very many cases, it leads to bad things. I quoted the terror. I mean, to give the total extreme, you had SS murderers, and they had a saying, "I never feel as alive as when I'm killing." They're apparently, for some humans, there is quite a rush in killing somebody. The psychopaths who capture people and then kill them often speak about these are true mentally ill psychopaths, but nevertheless there's something to be learned from them. The rush that they get from killing someone is not something I can relate to, but something I can read and believe.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
The indoctrination of the American voter has been going on for a very, very long period of time. And we as Republicans, we as believers in liberty, we as conservatives should have pushed back a lot sooner. And we need to push back harder. That's why I made the Uncle Tom movie, because we also have to fight this battle at the cultural level too. Melissa, thank you so much for that. This is a crucial election. I'll tell you why. These guys get in charge. By these guys, I'm talking about Democrats, of course. Assume they take the presidency. Let's assume they take the Senate, retain control of the House. They're going to immediately get rid of the filibuster so that they can pass any budget they want on a simple majority vote. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Washington, D.C. as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Puerto Rico as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to push for a commission to study reparations, for crying out loud. They're going to raise taxes. They're going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. And those tax cuts, 80% of the benefits went through the non-top 1%. They're going to push for the legalization of the illegal aliens who are here, amnesty. And believe me, the number of illegal aliens in America is not 11 million. That's a number that they all cite. One study by a professor from Yale, so therefore you know it must be legitimate, puts a number at between 20 and 25 million illegal aliens. That would change our voting electorate forever. That's exactly why the want to do it. Can you imagine if 11 to 20 million illegal aliens turn voters, pull the lever for the Republican Party? We wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
Welcome back, America. We're 13 days away from the election. Remember, early voting has begun in Ohio. Early in-person voting has already started. And Arizona and Michigan. That's why I need you to go to keepamericaamerica.com. They'll get you the most trusted, up-to-date information on where you can vote. And please commit to take one person, just one person, to the polls, or help them complete a mail-in ballot. The 2016 election was decided by thousands of votes, not millions. 350,000 of you across the country have already gone to keepamericaamerica.com. I want to see that number reach 1 million or more. The turnout is huge across the country. That's good for the Republicans. It's good for the Republic. We want big turnout. We want enormous turnout, especially with people who don't normally vote. We need you to help them get there. Do a little, do a lot, but do your part. Go to keepamericaamerica.com right now. That's keepamericaamerica.com. Let me check the market, brought to you by Birch Gold, as it is every morning at this time. The price of gold this morning is at, it's up $1,921 an ounce. It dipped briefly below $1,900 last week. It's trading in this range, and this range is where you can get in the event that hyperinflation lurks, which I always believe is a problem, and I believe it's a problem over a decade. But when you're moving a portion of your 401k or IRA, 10 to 25% is my recommendation into physical precious metals, not ETF, but the real deal, gold and silver. Birch Gold is who you should deal with. You can find out about them at hughgold.com, or you can text my name, Hugh, to 474747 and open a precious metals IRA today. Or you can just buy some gold coins and bars and throw them into a safe or a safety deposit box. That's what I do. But I encourage you to do that today, because the market's just crazy, and it's going to get crazier. Overseas this morning, England dropped 1%. Germany is off 0.83%. Japan and Hong Kong are closed in the green. Yesterday, the Dow went up 113 points. The NASDAQ went up 37, and the S&P went up 16. Netflix, however, last night came in and disappointed, so it's off. It's going to have a big drop today because they only added 2.5 million subscribers. The Netflix bubble is over, not the tech bubble. I continue to believe that the only stock I own, Amazon, I always disclose that, is going to have blockbuster quarter and continue to grow, because it's not just a streaming service. It's not just a retail business. It's AWS, Amazon Web Services. But you do your own investments. I just caution you, be diversified. Be diversified, be diversified. Own some gold and silver. And Birch Gold is the person to do with that. HughGold.com, HughGold.com. To the phones. Let's start in Pittsburgh with Brian. Good morning, Brian. Hello, Brian. You're on.
Yes, sir. Hi, Hugh.
Good morning.
How about those Steelers?
They got lucky. We didn't have Nick Chubb. Next time we'll get you.
Gotcha. Hugh, I didn't vote for Trump. I've watched over the past 8 months about the Russia hoax, the revealing of just how corrupt the FBI, Comey have been. I was stunned, Hugh. The pandemic is completely slanted against Trump. I think that people are thinking wildly out of bounds as far as the pandemic is concerned. It's real, it's serious, but I think the media is not interested in truth. They're interested in fear and getting Trump out of office. Lastly, with this latest with Hunter Biden, he's not a young man. He's obviously a troubled, sick man. That should not be exploited. But what it is showing is that Joe Biden is indeed compromised. Hugh, it's unbelievable.
But you didn't vote for Trump? You did vote for Trump, or you didn't?
I did not, Hugh. I was very troubled by Donald Trump. I'm a John Kasich guy. I'm from Pittsburgh.
So you're talking about in 2016. What are you going to do this year, Brian?
I'm going to vote for Trump. I mean, it's just what has happened the last 8 months is just stunning to me. The Russia hoax was indeed a hoax.
Brian, I let you on thinking that you were not a Trump voter, but that's a powerful call. You weren't a Trump voter in 2016, but you are now. You're very rare. Very few people have changed their mind. Very few people in this country who voted in 2016 have changed their mind. New people are voting, and the huge number leads me to believe We may have a wild night, election night. Brian, thank you. You're evidence of that. I'll be right back on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
The indoctrination of the American voter has been going on for a very, very long period of time. And we as Republicans, we as believers in liberty, we as conservatives should have pushed back a lot sooner. And we need to push back harder. That's why I made the Uncle Tom movie, because we also have to fight this battle at the cultural level too. Melissa, thank you so much for that. This is a crucial election. I'll tell you why. These guys get in charge. By these guys, I'm talking about Democrats, of course. Assume they take the presidency. Let's assume they take the Senate, retain control of the House. They're going to immediately get rid of the filibuster so that they can pass any budget they want on a simple majority vote. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Washington, D.C. as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Puerto Rico as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to push for a commission to study reparations, for crying out loud. They're going to raise taxes. They're going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. And those tax cuts, 80% of the benefits went through the non-top 1%. They're going to push for the legalization of the illegal aliens who are here, amnesty. And believe me, the number of illegal aliens in America is not 11 million. That's a number that they all cite. One study by a professor from Yale, so therefore you know it must be legitimate, puts a number at between 20 and 25 million illegal aliens. That would change our voting electorate forever. That's exactly why the want to do it. Can you imagine if 11 to 20 million illegal aliens turn voters, pull the lever for the Republican Party? We wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Michael Medved at michaelmedved.com for Town Hall. The appointment of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court counts as a masterstroke and easily one of the best decisions of Donald Trump's presidency. In an election season when liberals and media try to characterize conservatives as old, angry, bigoted, extreme, and lacking in empathy, Judge Barrett displays the opposite characteristics. At age 48, she's youthful, a genial consensus builder, and mother of 7, including a special needs child and 2 adopted kids from Haiti. On a court dominated for decades by Yale and Harvard graduates, she's a breath of Midwestern fresh air, beloved by her students at Notre Dame. Most importantly, she'll give new life to the originalist thinking of her mentor, Justice Antonin Scalia, in stressing what the Constitution actually says, not what Judge wanted to say. As Americans have been losing faith in public institutions, Judge Barrett can help to restore their confidence. I'm Michael Medved.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Here was what the president pointed out. He wants, this is the facts. This is the fact. Democrats are blocking the last relief package that Republicans put on the table and had the backing of the White House. Over a month ago, Democrats filibustered any discussion on an eventual passage of a $300 billion package, $1,200 to desperate Americans, $400 a week unemployment. The president broke it down last night beautifully.
The problem you have is Nancy Pelosi. She couldn't care less about the worker. She couldn't care less about our people. And we should have a stimulus. And I want a stimulus. The Republicans will approve a stimulus. The problem is she doesn't want to do it because she thinks it's bad for her election. The fact is she's wrong because people know she's in our way. She's not approving it. She doesn't appreciate our people, and she doesn't appreciate at all our workers. Nancy Pelosi, we are ready to sign and pass stimulus, but she's got to.
And of course, right away, you can hear the minor bird interrupting him. That's not a shock. I told one of my kids last night, I said, Dad, Susanna Guthrie's terrible. Well, that's not a shock. You thought she was going to do a good job and be fair? You thought an NBC Today Show host would be fair to President Trump? Don't be distracted by that. Focus on his answers.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Haley McEnany is the press secretary for the president of the United States. When she posted a New York Post article, not just some crazy tweet, she posts a New York Post article, she was locked out of her Twitter account. Facebook suppressed this stuff. Twitter suppressed this stuff.
They did it for different reasons, and the explanations that they gave were equally dissatisfying. Facebook tried to claim that this was illegitimately gained material, that they didn't have the right to this material to begin with, that it was hacked. Twitter took a wholly different path, saying something along the lines of, well, we can't prove that any of the facts involved here are true. So one of them's kind of admitting maybe truth to the facts, but saying that the legitimacy of how it was obtained was wrong, and the other saying they don't have proof that it is in fact true.
Welcome back, America. Hugh Hewitt inside the Beltway, 13 days from the election. Alliance Defending Freedom looking forward to arguing cases before Amy Coney Barrett, who will be confirmed by this time next week. She will join the 9 by this time next week. Isn't that great? That's reassuring. I want you to know that ADF is 11 for 11. They've won 11 cases before the Supreme Court since 2010. And they're going to be back there because, especially in academia, the state continues to violate the free speech rights, especially of Christian students. I've already told you about Jack Denton at Florida State University. He was removed as the Florida State Senate president simply for sharing his faith in a private chat room. So ADF rolled up its sleeves and they have challenged Florida State in federal law, federal court in Florida. ADF's Tyson Langhofer tells us they just won a big victory for religious freedom.
Because he was wrongfully removed in violation of his constitutional right. Because, students don't forfeit their religious freedom when they step onto a public university campus. But essentially, the Student Senate here was imposing a religious test, saying that anybody that held Orthodox Christian views is basically barred from serving as Student Senate president. And that's just wrong.
Whether or not Joe Biden wins, the attacks on religious liberty will continue in this country as it culturally moves left, further left, and we need the Alliance Defending Freedom as never before. I need you to please give $100 over at my website, hughhewitt.com, or you can call 866-359-9644. Just $100, or your best gift. Maybe you can do much, much more. The money you give goes right to the to the courtroom. They are in there every day, with hundreds of cases across the United States, scores of lawyers on staff, thousands of lawyers donating their time across the country, education programs. Alliance Defending Freedom was attacked by the left-wing Democrats during Amy Coney Barrett's hearings because Amy Coney Barrett thinks enough about ADF that she gave up her time to go and lecture to them, and you should give up a little bit too, because our first freedom matters that much. You need to go to HughHewitt.com, look for the banner, let it load, let HughHewitt.com load. At the very top, you'll see a banner that says, "Will you fight for your freedom? Give now." So $100 or your best gift, or you can call 866-359-9644. And thank you. Let me talk back. What about the media and this Biden story? Newcastle, Pennsylvania, Marianne, the Keystone State means everything. I mean, it means everything in this election. Have you voted yet?
I have not here. We're going to be voting in person on Election Day. We did not vote for Trump in 2016. We think the media and this whole Hunter Biden thing is absolutely crucial. But we love the president. He's the best president we've ever had. We were at the rally last night just to support him. We just wanted to get there and tell him to thank him for everything he's done for the country.
You know, Marianne, you almost live in God's country, Ohio. You're in Newcastle, so you're very close. You're very close to Ohio. Yeah, you could move over there if you wanted to.
I could. We might.
You could become a Buckeye. It's right there, the promised land. You're like Caleb. You have to go over and scout out the land, and you could go look and see we're there. But tell me about the rally last night, Marianne.
Oh my goodness, amazing! So much energy. The place was packed. There must have been 10,000 people there. They all love the president.
Well, Joe Biden got 10 people yesterday, so Joe got 10.
It was amazing. He does a wonderful job. He's just the best. He loves us. He loves this country. We love him back.
Why didn't you vote for him in 2016?
I was turned off by the personality. That was it. And my husband and I said, let's get to know him. And when we saw what he stood for, when we saw how much he loved this country, how hard he worked, despite everything that's been done to him, he's just the best.
So you're really being straight with our audience. You did not vote for him in 2016, and you're voting for him now.
I did not vote for him in 2016. When I woke up the morning after the election, I said, oh my gosh, what is going to happen? And we just said, we're going to have to watch. And we were turned around completely.
Why?
Because he loves this country. Because he did not have to change his life. But he knew something needed to happen, and he could do it. And he has devoted every ounce of his energy since then to make it happen.
Now, you know, Marianne, a lot of people listen to this show who are Democrats. Some of them call in, but many of them don't. And they don't believe you exist. They believe you are a figment of people's imagination, that there are new Trump voters. They think all the Trump voters in the world voted in 2016, and now all the Democrats who stayed home are going to come out, and it's going to be a wipeout. And I told a friend last night he hates Trump so much. I mean, he just really hates Trump. And he's very confident of a Biden win. I love the man. And I said, look, keep in your mind open the possibility that these new voters are not Joe Biden voters. Just please don't get yourself, every Trump supporter and every Biden supporter can't be 100% committed to that their guy has this locked up, because it just ain't so.
I agree. And I hear of so many. I have talked to black people who did not vote for him but are voting for him now. And I have talked my lawn guy. I've talked to a Hispanic who's going to vote for him. I don't know if he voted for him. I don't think he did, but I can't be sure. But he's voting for him as well.
Now, talk to me a little bit about this rally last night. What was the makeup of the crowd?
I was sitting next to a young woman studying at a college nearby from China. There was a vet in front of me. There was a line of Asian Americans several rows back. There were, let me see, the fellow in front of me was Hispanic. There was in the next tranche over, there were Indian students.
Hold on 1 second. I'm going to play a clip from this, and I'm going to come back and talk to you about it. This is Donald Trump in Erie, Pennsylvania last night, cut number 22.
With your vote, we will continue to cut your taxes, cut regulations, support our great police, protect our Second Amendment, defend our borders, keep jobs and wealth in America where it belongs. Thank you. We will deliver record prosperity, epic growth.
This was his closing argument, Marianne. And how long did he speak for?
I'm going to say it was well over an hour.
Yeah, Dwayne gave me one cut. He gave me 25 seconds of an hour-long speech. That's what I'm dealing with here, Marianne. That's my burden in life. It is.
Well, he picked a good one. He picked a really good one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an hour and 15 minutes. I got 25 seconds of it. Was he funny? Was the president relaxed?
Oh, yes. That's it. He was so relaxed and on top of his game, and it was like he was just talking to us. And he just hit one topic after another in such a great way. He came out and he said, I love you guys. And we started to cheer, we love you, we love you.
10,000 people in Western Pennsylvania only happens when the Stillers play. And the Pirates no longer draw 10,000 people. But, you know, that I know Western PA pretty well, the burnt over land, we call it, the place you go when you're exiled. But I am curious, what was the crowd orderly, behaved? Were there any hecklers?
Oh, no hecklers. Very orderly, very behaved, very kind. If someone who had a walker or was having trouble walking was coming along, they let them in front of them. They gave up their seats so they could sit down. They were happy. They were just enthusiastic. It was the best time because we were talking about our president. and how much we love him.
Why did you go, Marianne? Nobody, it's a curious thing because you don't have to go to a rally. You can vote for him, you can give him money, you can watch him on TV. You don't have to go to a rally. It's like going to a concert, and the getting in and the getting out is often a nightmare. How was parking last night?
Oh, the parking was great. It was so well organized. They had a stream of 16 buses that carried 50 people each. It just kept rolling in and rolling out, picking people up, drop at the parking lot, dropping them off. It was wonderful.
Were you worried about the virus?
I had to be there. I had to say thank you for saving our country. I was so, we decided yesterday morning to go. We're retired, and we moved out here from Philadelphia to be with family. And I
honestly, Marianne, if you just went 10 more miles, you'd be in Ohio. I mean, you would. You're close. Really, you could just keep going. All right, Marianne, thank you. You've been a great call, and I think you may have upset a lot of the Democrats listening, but you keep working.
That's okay.
Have you been to keepamericaamerica.com yet? Are you helping other people vote?
Yes, actually, we're going to be driving people to the polls. We're getting our map and our list of addresses. My husband and I will have 2 cars. We're driving people all day.
Have you ever done this before?
No, I wouldn't do it for. I don't think I'd do it for another president. I'm doing it for Donald Trump.
Why?
Because he's our last best hope. He could save this country. We went to that rally, Hugh, because we were so discouraged about big tech not allowing the New York Post story to get out. We were just afraid this was going to be it, and we said we have to go and say thank you to him.
Interesting.
Hugh, we love your show. We listen to it every morning. We depend on you. So stay healthy. We pray for you.
Well, thank you so much. I still think you should move to Ohio, but God bless you. You're probably an Eagles fan, so you haven't been lost to the 7th ring of hell in Pittsburgh Steeler land. But good to talk to you, Marianne. God bless you. Be well. That was quite the call. So, Dwayne, he spoke for an hour and 15 minutes. I got 25 seconds here.
Fine. You want more? I can get you more.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. So I've always got the option of giving you 50 cuts and you play 2, or giving you 20 cuts
audience.
And then you demand 50.
Look, people, I'm showing you my cut sheet. I just took a night off. I said, Dwayne, you handle the cut sheet.
Yeah, you took a night off.
He doesn't like the president. I can only assume he doesn't like the president because there's one Donald Trump cut here. Spoke for an hour and 25 minutes last night. Marianne, God bless you. You've exposed Dwayne again. He came in today. I think he's a Biden plant. In fact, are there any? Did you email with Hunter Biden, Dwayne?
That is something I definitely did not do.
All right, we'll see about that. All things come to light. Thank you. Time for ReliefFactor.com. All right, time for ReliefFactor.com. I used to say this is the only supplement that I take. TMI time, too much information time. I have been worried I had an ulcer, and I went to the doctor yesterday. No ulcer, something called diverticulitis. So I will now be taking not just ReliefFactor.com, but fiber and a couple other things because it's not pleasant. It hurts. And it hurts in your gut, and you think you've got an ulcer. And he said, nope, no ulcer, diverticulitis. So what are you taking? And we ran. I said, I told him, Relief Factor. And so other stuff. But now it's a supplement. It's a fiber supplement. I don't know if all you people out there believe me, but I give you the honest goodness. I take it every day. And he wanted to know exercise, and we went over that, and I did 8 miles on Monday and 6 miles yesterday, and that's all good. But what you need to know is he thought ReliefFactor.com is great. Like carrying curcumin, resveratrol, and omega. Another doctor is saying, yes, absolutely. Good supplement. There are bad supplements out there, but ReliefFactor.com is a good supplement. All right? ReliefFactor.com takes care of you, gets you moving, exercising, go out and do it, and come right back here on the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Why did you ruin such a perfect...
on the Charlie Kirk Show.
So we have the New York Post article that I want to get right into. Biden's secret emails. Can you just tell us a little bit of background on how you were able to obtain these emails and build it out for us?
So there is just a repairman. He repairs computers, specializes in Mac, somewhere in the area where the Bidens live. And about a year and a half ago, Hunter Biden, inebriated, he was somewhat drunk, came in with 3 devices to be repaired. The gentleman recognized him only when he came up very close because he has bad eyesight. And he took the 3 devices and he said, one of them is gone, and they deconstructed it and got rid of it. He said, one of them just needs a keyboard to be attached to it, and we can see if we can run it. And he said, the third one's in bad shape, but I think I can save it. Hunter Biden, who then had identified himself, said, well, that's the important one, meaning the one that has to be repaired. So they signed up a form document, which required payment, but it also had a very interesting clause in it. It said if you don't reclaim your property within 90 days of the completion of the work, the property is deemed to be abandoned. And under the law, abandoned property becomes the property of the first person who takes it. So the merchant would be the person who took it. So for 70, 80, 90 days, he was trying to reach Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden never responded. 120 days, 130 days, never responded. Then he started hearing things on television and radio about the crimes allegedly committed.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
This is the point that Scott Adams made. He said at the beginning, said,
I think he said that really well. I agree with him.
Another Russiagate thing. I'm not interested, because that's what they want you to be. They want you to switch off so you believe the surface garbage, the prostitutes,
and
the
what
urinate.
you think you remember. Most people, there's so much. So I think I think it's a really exciting movie. I think a lot of people have said, wow, I didn't realize how fun and exciting and kind of inspiring it would be to watch, considering you're like, well, I know this story, but actually you don't know the story.
So what is the story? People need to watch it. We'll tell them how they can watch it. It's the plot against the president, but in the Washington style of the elevator pitch. And you made this movie, but if you had to sell it in Hollywood, what is the 2-sentence pitch of the plot against the president? What happened?
Well, I mean, I'd say it was an absolutely organized coup against an administration that
by
the intelligence agencies, by overreaching law enforcement agencies like the FBI, and by the Democrat, the DNC and the Hillary campaign. In addition to the Obama administration, I mean, I think we do a pretty good job of showing how all of those.
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Joe Moffat just wrote me a note, a tweet, actually. And Joe was a visitor to Monticello last weekend, as I was, but his Twitter handle is all Eagles all the time. And that's really sad. But Joe and I met at Monticello. We had a nice chat. It was great. And I got to tell you right now that I love meeting listeners on the road. And I think it was Joe who told me he takes relieffactor.com. I think it was. I have to go back and find out. Hey, listen, I want to switch it up a little bit here. I only want to talk to people who are voting for Trump this year and did not vote for him in 2016. I'll talk to the people already cleared, but I want to talk to people who are voting for Trump this year and never voted for him before. That make sense? All right, Jason in New York. Good morning, Jason. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Thanks. So I just wanted to echo your last call, Marianne. Her excitement for Trump, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I didn't vote for him last time. I think it was kind of a personality thing as well. But seeing how the numbers, and argue with the numbers, the economy, not a politician. He's transparent, via Twitter, which kind of is annoying sometimes, but he's transparent. But I'm 100% going to vote for him. I think a lot of people are going to, or do feel the same way I do, from what I can tell. Yeah.
Well, who did you vote for 4 years ago, Jason?
So I voted for a third-party candidate. I'm from Oregon, a fairly liberal state. Third-party candidate, but obviously didn't win. But Trump has just created such a buzz and excitement.
Has any pollster contacted you?
No, they have not. I just moved to upstate New York. I'm a physician up here. I work for a hospital. I don't know that they can find me anyway. I just moved here a couple months ago, but no, actually, no, I have not.
If you're in upstate New York, you could move to Ohio, too.
I could move to Ohio, yes.
Okay, just pointing that out. I'm just telling all you people that you're close to the promised land. Cross over like Caleb, because spy out the land and you'll see. Hey, Jason, thank you. Joe in Oregon. Joe, what do you think?
What do you? Yes, I'll have a similar story. I was a very strong Ted Cruz supporter back in 2016. Of course, when he dropped out, I did ultimately vote for President Trump with reservations. But it occurred to me this morning, we're watching a modern-day David versus Goliath situation where President Trump is against the swamp, the unelected dictators in Silicon Valley, plus most of the mainstream media, plus the Chinese, plus the Russians, plus the Iranians. So this is an epic battle that we'll be talking about several hundred years from now.
So did you vote for him in 2016?
Yes, I did, with strong, very strong reservation because of the personality. But I've now realized that this is policy, not personality. And,
okay, well, that's interesting, Joe. You're up you're in one of those states where the governor is anti-Christian and shutting down Christian schools. Alliance Defending Freedom is helping her out. And so you live in one of the deep blue states. Good luck to you, friend. Alliance Defending Freedom has to fight the Oregon governor. She's shutting down Christian schools of the same size of public schools. She doesn't want public schools to be shuttered. So I urge you to go over to HughHewitt.com. At the very top, you will see Donate to Protect Your Freedom banner. Give now. That's for ADF. That's Alliance Defending Freedom. And give $100 or give your best gift. Will you fight for your freedom in Oregon? It made me remember that, and please go and do that right now. Paul in Reno, Nevada. Hi, Paul.
Good morning, Hugh. Hey, I did vote for Trump, and I didn't realize you were going to change the thing. So
yeah, I know. I changed it up on you.
I didn't want to keep you long. I was wondering if you have Chuck Todd on every week, right?
Yeah, but I don't talk about Chuck on the air. I never talk about my guests. Chuck is my colleague.
I was wondering if you saw the article Jonathan Turley wrote.
No, but I'll go look at it. But my screener's normal. Stop. I don't criticize my colleagues. I don't allow it. People call up and they want to beat up on Dennis Prager or that. So I get it. I'll go read it, but let's leave it there. I want to know whether or not you think there is a groundswell of support in Nevada because the president has spent a lot of time in Nevada.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. In fact, I've been to both of his rallies, the one in Minden and the one he had Sunday in Carson City. And without a doubt, and to be frank, it seems like there's a groundswell of support coming out of California because half the crowd in Carson City on Sunday appeared to be from California.
Well, a lot of Californians have moved to Nevada, Colorado, and Arizona, and they're changing they've changed Colorado into a blue state. I hope you got the red Californians. I'm a red Californian.
A lot of California plates in the parking areas.
Well, good for you, Paul. Hey, thank you. Thank you for calling. Let me talk to Eric in Dallas, Texas. Good morning, Eric.
Morning glory, Hugh.
Morning glory.
Sorry.
Yeah, Eric, it's radio. You have to talk.
I'm a little emotional.
You got less than 30 seconds, so you got to...
I'm getting together. I escaped from California. I used to be from Corona. I'm, by the grace of God, in Dallas. And I'm proud to vote for our president this time. He embarrassed me with the things he said, and I didn't want to tell my daughter.
Eric, hold over. Oh, he dropped. There was a story there. I wanted to hear that story. Eric, call back for hour number 2 of the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
In deaths per million, they're the only one of any size that had, I'm not counting San Marino or, Channel Island. They are the only ones with no deaths. No masks, no deaths. Gather together. Never locked down. Kids went to school. Front page article, LA Times. Teachers refuse to go in until it's safe. Yeah, well, that's real courageous. Now you'll say, well, it's not a matter of courage. You got to be safe. Are kids really dying? There isn't one kid during the worst of the pandemic. Swedish schools were open for kids under 16. No kid died. They don't have an example of any more teachers getting it than from anybody else. Teachers got it from teachers. By the way, so what if you get it? In most cases, not most, in nearly every single case, if you get it, you're okay. You want to know what the best vaccine is? Getting it. That's the best vaccine for the vast majority. We're talking 99.5% of humanity. Follow the science. Another gigantic lie of the left, because they never follow the science. They follow what they want and find the scientists they want to say it. My anger at the lockdown is quite palpable, as you can hear. And it has been that way. Soon you will only be able to eat in many cities in a chain restaurant, because the local ones will have been killed by the safety crowd.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Pat is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pat, you're on The Larry Elder Show. Thank you so much for calling.
It seems to me during the Democratic primary, there was a lot of talk about not only taxing the wealthy, but something called the wealth tax. And it was my understanding that they were taxing the wealth that you had from your savings, from your assets, from your house, that kind of thing.
That's right.
At 10% a year, every year. It's
every
like
year.
A living estate tax that goes every year. Now, I haven't heard anything about that. Can you tell me what that is and if they are still trying to promote that tax? Because I think us seniors with some savings would probably not be happy about that.
Well, you're absolutely right. And certainly that did come up during the campaign. I will tell you this. The lawmakers here in the state of California are absolutely proposing a wealth tax. They want to increase the state income tax from the highest in the nation, 13.3% to 16%. And they also want to pass a wealth tax. Now, why do I mention what's going on in California? Because every dumb idea that the federal government wants to do has been tried at least twice in California. And so California is considering this. The lawmakers are all Democrats. Democrats occupy 2/3 of both chambers of the legislature here in California, plus they run the governorship. So in the unlikely event that the governor vetoed such a tax, there are enough lawmakers in both chambers to override the veto. So do I believe that if these guys get in charge, there will be something like a wealth tax? I certainly believe that, because they believe that rich people don't pay enough. The average Democrat believes rich people don't pay very much in taxes, even though the top 1% pay 39, almost 40% of all the federal income taxes. But
keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Owen Strand for townhall.com. If you're on a college campus today or have a child on campus, there's a solid chance you'll hear this. All white people are racist. You might hear this too. America is founded on white supremacy. These two sentences are not mere overheated emotion. They express an ideology called critical race theory, or CRT, which argues that race is a social construct made by white people. Just as race was once used to enslave and terrorize, so it is used today to keep America unequal, unfair, and hostile to minorities. The Trump administration just took symbolic and courageous action against CRT. It issued a memo to federal agencies calling for the end of the government's CRT racial sensitivity trainings, terming them divisive anti-American propaganda. Does America have real issues in its past? Yes. Have we made real progress that we must guard carefully? Also yes. The White House has led well here. I'm Owen Strand.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Like including what police officers he thinks should do when their life is in jeopardy and a dangerous bad guy, a dangerous person armed is charging a police officer. Sheriff Joe knows how to handle that.
We can do this. You can ban chokeholds. You can, but beyond that, you have to teach people how to de-escalate circumstances. De-escalate. So instead of anybody coming at you and the first thing you do is shoot to kill, you shoot them in the leg. There's ways you have to do more background checks in terms of whether or not the person coming in passes certain psychological tests.
Yeah, he just lost the entire law enforcement vote in America because anybody who is law enforcement, anybody who loves law enforcement like a family member, anybody who is a relative of law enforcement knows how asinine it is to say you shoot somebody charging at you instead of center mass to stop them. You shoot them in the leg. You're right. You clip them, right? Right, Uncle Joe? You clip them in the ankle. That's what you do when they're coming at you with a .357 Magnum. You shoot them in the like that, and when you shoot them in the leg, don't shoot them in the femoral artery. Shoot them in the fleshy part of their ankle, preferably on the left side, where there's a little. Maybe you could just get their big toe, right, Mr. Law enforcement expert. He just lost the entire law enforcement vote.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
When it happened to Trump and the New York Times, they didn't say a peep. And when it happened to Biden, they pretended suddenly we can't. Not only are we not wanting to show this, but we're gonna go out of our way to anytime anybody links to that article, we're not going to allow them to tweet it out.
Yeah.
This is gigantic influence peddling. I don't know. I guess my question to you, Kevin, is what do you think is going to happen? Because this is genuinely in our nation unprecedented.
Well, I think it gives you a real clear snapshot of what it looks like without someone in the federal government bureaucracy that is dismantling it and tearing it apart and saying these things are crooked and corrupt. Without that force, this stuff would happen with no consequences. And so just imagine the amount of spying that we knew that went on with the Obama administration, and just imagine all three branches of government all under the same control, all allowing such surveillance, and in this case cover up of corrupt behavior, etc., to be allowed to continue to occur without any consequence, and in all likelihood without any awareness being raised to it. Again, it was the people of the United States responding to these huge media platforms. And let's be very clear about one thing about these platforms. They are not governed the same way that media outlets are. They're not governed by the same rules that the New York Post or the New York Times are. They are supposed to be neutral pass-throughs. For instance, they're like a phone company. We're not supposed to know what's coming through the individual calls that people make on the phone lines.
Morning, Glory America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. Greetings to my 300 affiliates across the United States of America. I'm talking this morning only with people who did not vote for President Trump in 2016 and who are going to vote for him now. I stumbled upon that talking to Marianne, who went to the Trump rally last night in Erie, Pennsylvania. And as we sort through people who are in that category, because I don't think anyone's going to change their mind between the election and now. But if the Trump people show up, Trump's going to win the states he needs to win. And the United States Senate will stay safely in the hands of Republicans. We need Georgia to elect David Perdue. We need North Carolina, please, you got to elect Tom Tillis. I can't believe you would send Cal Cunningham after that fiasco, cheating on his wife during the campaign in his own house. with a spouse of an active duty military. It's not only disgusting, it's criminal if he was on duty. I just can't believe North Carolina is going to embarrass itself that way. During the campaign, in his own house, when he's running on character. So Tom Tillis should win there. Susan Collins, most effective senator in the United States Senate, clearly admired by both sides of the aisle in Maine. I'm on in Portland right now, and I know you folks around there are very, very centrist. Mainers, my brother-in-law have lived there for 30 years, and I've been there so many times, I know you are centrist. And having Angus King and Susan Collins put you right in the center of Maine, right in the center of the spectrum of politics, and so Maine is in the center of the country's political divide. You got to keep Susan Collins. Joni Ernst is surging in Iowa. That's good news. John James in Michigan is terrific news. In fact, they got a Detroit caller, Reno in Detroit. Good morning, Reno. How are you?
Hey, you. What's going on, man?
Who'd you vote for in 2016?
I didn't vote. My party left me. So I'm a Democrat. I've worked in the factory all my life. I'm a union guy, and now Trump has my policy. So I'm going to vote for Trump. I didn't vote in 2016.
Are you going to vote for John James as well?
John James, too. I'm going Republican all the way. They're my party now. They're more of my party, because I'm an old school Democrat, and they just left me. So I don't have a party. So they're more of my party now,
Well,
so
the Democrats have gone very hard left, and they're not for the private sector working guy or gal. They're not for the unions anymore. That's why the police officers have endorsed Trump. They have left behind. Sort of like the Reagan Democrats 2.0 are the Trump Democrats.
Yep. You're right. You're 100% correct. And that's
Thank you, Reno.
Republican. Thank you. You take care.
Get out there. Go to keepamericaamerica.com. Early voting is underway in Michigan. Early voting is underway in Ohio. It's underway in Arizona. Please go to keepamericaamerica.com for the best information on where to vote. It's over there. It'll tell you exactly, and commit to bring one other person with you, or to help one other person figure out an absentee ballot, or to get up one other person to the polls on November the 3rd. KeepAmericaAmerica.com. Hey, while I'm pitching, let me tell you about Alliance Defending Freedom. Over at HughHewitt.com. Now, you people in Oregon know this. The crazy Oregon governor shut down Christian schools and opened up public schools of the same size. And her spokesperson said, we have to do that or the public schools will go bankrupt. That is as unconstitutional as the day is law. That is a discrimination against religious institutions. Alliance Defending Freedom is in court. They will win. But it costs money. And those Christian schools don't have a lot of money. Those parents put all their money into tuition. So ADF does it for free. They do it, they represent their clients for free because of people like you, who will go to HughHewitt.com and let the website load at the very top. You'll see a banner. A, that's for Alliance Defends. Will you fight for your freedom? Give now. Please give $100 or give your best gift this morning. I know you've been meaning to do it. You've been saying I'll get it done. Go and do it this morning. Or you can call 866-359-9644. 866-359-9644. The easiest thing is just to go to Hugh Hewitt and find the Alliance Defending Freedom banner at the top. You'll see the word freedom, support freedom banner. So Donald Trump was in Pennsylvania last night. Huge crowd. We had a caller there already, and maybe Sean was there as well. Sean's in Pennsylvania. Hi, Sean. Which part of Pennsylvania are you in?
I'm actually from the central part of Pennsylvania, Hugh, and it's good to speak to you this morning. Not that far from Penn State, the best team in the Big Ten.
Not for long, buddy. You can believe that for 2 more weeks.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's going to be a good game. Looking forward to it, Hugh. But, hey, listen, I wanted to tell you, I voted for Trump the first time with complete reservation, worried about the Supreme Court, worried about if he was actually going to be a true conservative. And, of course, those fears have been put to bed. But I want to say the neighborhood that I've lived in for the last 30 years, I knew nothing about how my neighbors voted, as we never got into politics. And this election, not the first election, 2016, but this election, Donald Trump, every one of my neighbors has a Trump sign in their yard. I've never seen support for any candidate. I've never seen support for Bush. I've never seen support for Obama. This election, I have noticed all our neighbors, including myself, we were able to get a Trump sign put in our yard. And, it is the same in almost every community. You just look up and down the street where I'm on my way to school, where I teach at, just filled with Trump signs, Trump flags, and it makes me think that Trump's got this. I mean, we're vigilant. I think we're going to win, but I don't see support for Biden anywhere. So,
well, that's interesting. And now I live in Northern Virginia. When I drive home, there's a lot of Biden support in Northern Virginia because it's the federal government. But I have seen the same thing when I went to Monticello this past weekend. When I went down to Monticello this past weekend, the Farmers for Trump, when you get out beyond the Beltway, it's Trump country till you get to Charlottesville, where it's Biden country. It's an urban, rural divide, and the people who are going to decide this are the people who don't either live in the cities or in the farmland. You folks, right. Sean, are going to decide this. So right. Thank you. Thanks for calling. I want to play Trump last night. First of all, cut number 22.
With your vote, we will continue to cut your taxes, cut regulations, support our great police, protect our Second Amendment, defend our borders, keep jobs and wealth in America where it belongs. Thank you. We will deliver record prosperity, epic growth.
He went on, cut number 23, about fracking. Biden, this is about fracking in Pennsylvania, cut number 23.
Will ban fracking and abolish Pennsylvania energy. How many times did he say it? Your fracking and mining industries will be outlawed, exiled, eradicated, and totally extinguished. And you know it, because it's not up to Sleepy Joe. He's gonzo. It's up to the others in the party. Joe Biden has repeatedly pledged to ban fracking, right? You've all heard it. Have you heard it? Till he got the nomination. Then he came to Pennsylvania. He said, oh, well, I guess it's okay. It's always what they say first. His running mate, the most liberal member of the U.S. Senate, sponsors the $100 trillion. Think of that, $100 trillion. If we had a great year for 100 years, we couldn't make $100 trillion. The $100 trillion socialist Green New Deal, which would eliminate fossil fuels. At this very moment, Biden's website includes a pledge to mandate net zero carbon emissions, which means he would end all fracking. It's what he said. He said it for a year and a half. He said it.
And then one more cut from last night, cut 24.
Epic job growth, safe vaccines that quickly end the pandemic. It's ending. Normal life. That's all we want. You know what we want? Normal life. Normal life will finally resume, and next year will be the greatest economic year in the history of our country. This is an election between the Trump super recovery, which is happening right now, and a Biden depression. If he gets elected, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
I think that is a very powerful closing argument. Chris in Minnesota, who are you voting for, Chris?
Hey, Hugh, how you doing? Hold on, get you off the speaker. 2016, I did not vote for Trump. 2016, I did not vote for Trump. I wrote in Ted Cruz's name. I couldn't vote for Trump. He was just I didn't like how he treated Ted Cruz. This year, for sure, I'm telling my wife, I'm telling my friends, we're voting for Trump, period. The Democrats have completely lost their mind on every aspect. They're completely demonic filled. And it's almost like it's a Marxist takeover. This is a Marxist takeover by the Democratic Party. Black Lives Matters. There's no option. If we want any normalcy for our children, we have to have Trump in for at least 4 more years. So absolutely.
All right, Chris, thank you for the call. More phone calls coming up, America. Stay tuned. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show. First-time Trump voters only.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
Amy Coney Barrett was, of course, pressed on Roe versus Wade. Let's go to cut 1. This is her response on the decision of Roe versus Wade. Play tape.
I think on that question, I'm going to invoke Justice Kagan's description, which I think is perfectly put. When she was in her confirmation hearing, she said that she was not going to grade precedent or give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And I think in an area where precedent continues to be pressed and litigated, as is true of Casey, it would be particularly, it would actually be wrong and a violation of the canons for me to do that as a sitting judge.
Now, Roe versus Wade was a decision that nationalized abortion. Now, prior to Roe versus Wade, there were several states across the country that had outlawed abortion. The problem with Roe versus Wade is not even the issue of abortion. Abortion does stop a beating heart, and abortion does terminate a human life. The Roe versus Wade overturned the state mandates. People did not vote for this. It was one of the most undemocratic decisions in the history of the Supreme Court. It basically nationalized the slaughter of innocent life. It was a 7-2 decision. It was done by the Burger Court. The Warren Court prior to the Burger Court really set the landscape and set the framing for Roe versus Wade. And what's happened since Roe versus Wade? 60 million plus abortions in our country. It was a 7-2 decision. And the decision actually involved the case of a woman named Norma McCorvey. She used the pseudonym, of course, Jane Roe. She wanted an abortion. She lived in Texas, where abortion was illegal, and eventually sued her local district attorney, Henry Wade.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
It demonstrates that Joe Biden, the Democrat nominee for president, this is not a Hunter Biden scandal. This is a Joe Biden scandal. Joe Biden lied to the American people when he said he had nothing to do with Hunter's businesses. We now know, we have email documented proof that nobody's disputing the authenticity of these emails, nobody's disputing the authenticity of the documents, that Joe Biden met with Burisma leadership at the behest of his son,
when he was
Hunter
vice
Biden,
president.
when he was vice president of the United States, and then he lied to the American people about it. His campaign doesn't even deny taking a meeting. They just claim,
what do they say? What do they say?
They
It's
just
fascinating.
claim that there was no meeting on his quote-unquote official schedule. I can tell
Doesn't
you,
mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. I can tell you, presidents and vice presidents take scores of meetings that are not on their quote-unquote official schedules every day. We've been able to document at least 3 in the last 24 hours that Biden has taken as vice president of the United States. In fact, I can tell you because I've met with the current president and vice president of the United States, and those meetings are not on their official schedule.
The
Those are
last time I
interviews.
met the president, I was in the White House, said I wanted to meet him, and they put me in the Oval Office after a COVID test. I wasn't on the agenda.
Right, exactly.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. The reputation of the Presidential Commission on Debates, the Commission on Presidential Debates, is in tatters. It's in smoking ruins. Frank Fahrenkopf, the octogenarian who heads it. Bob Dole, by the way, said last week every Republican on the so-called commission is a never-Trumper. But we knew that. Everything is gone. I don't know why they agreed to deal with this. Maybe that's why Brad Parscale left the campaign. They should never have dealt with the commission. No one should ever deal with them again. They are unfair. They have set it up. They're going against Trump again. He was on Fox News last night. He said this, cut number 5.
We do our best here, and we're nonpartisan. We're not biased. And we thought that something had to be done, not to change the rules for this debate, but to make sure the American people get to hear what went on. You have to admit that last debate was terrible.
I don't have to admit that. I have to admit that you're biased. I have to admit everybody on the commission is biased. I have to admit you picked a bad slate of moderators. You have no idea how unfair, and everybody knows it. Now, I agree with Frank Fahrenkopf on one thing, cut number 4.
I was also really upset about the criticism that they've laid on Kristen Welker, who is going to be the moderator for the final debate.
Right. Now, I don't think people should go after Kristen Welker. I know Kristen. I think she'll be fair. I know the stories about her family being Democrat. I've dealt with Kristen repeatedly. I've never heard her ever lean left. But I think the criticism should be devoted to and completely on the commission. The commission utterly failed. They have lost the confidence. They never had it. Of the American people. They are a D.C. institution by, for, of, and dedicated to the interest of the swamp, and they need to go away. They are not official. They have no standing. I've pointed this out in Washington Post editorials before. They were originally created only to allow the Republicans and Democrats to negotiate instead of the League of Women Voters. They've lost their way. Dump it. Burn it to the ground. They have too many financial interests. They have too many other ideas. They obviously, just like every other bureaucratic institution, it expanded its mission to make itself more important, get more money, more status. They have lost their way. Get rid of it. Let me check on the markets, brought to you by AndrewandTodd.com. Are you buying a home in this superheated real estate market? And by superheated, I mean hotter than I have ever seen. People getting 10, 15, 20 offers when they put their house on the market. Well, the 10-year Treasury went up to 0.8%. That's the first time it's got an 8 in it in months. It was down as low as 0.62. It's up to 0.8. That still means the lowest interest rates in history. That's not enough to change the 30-year loan out there. But you've got to get to AndrewandTodd.com soon. There was Sierra Pacific Mortgage, 888-888-1172. Go old school and call Andrew Del Rey and Todd Avakian. They lend money. They do the mortgage, or they refinance your mortgage. If you're a veteran and you don't want to put any money down, they do VA loans. If you're a senior citizen and you want to refinance with a reverse mortgage, get money out of your house, never make another mortgage payment again, go to AndrewandTodd.com. Talk to Andrew Del Rey, talk to Todd Avakian, or one of their team. They'll spend as much time as they need to explain it to you. 888-888-1172. The Dow was up 113 yesterday. The NASDAQ was up 37. The S&P was up 16. England and Germany are down, whereas Japan and Hong Kong were up overseas. We don't know how it's going to go today. I think too many people are trading on the stimulus. I don't think there's going to be a stimulus. I think Nancy Pelosi is trying to divert attention from the Biden emails, so they're engaging in this. Mark Meadows is in there trying to be a good faith broker between the president and the Republicans in the Senate. And the chief of staff is trying to be a good faith broker, but I don't believe you can trust Nancy Pelosi. I don't think there's going to be a deal, nor do I think necessarily there needs to be a deal. We'll see. John in Southern Delaware. Who are you voting for, John? Who'd you vote for 4 years ago?
This time Trump, and I will say just a couple of things, Hugh. Marianne called in, and she went to the rally, and I did too. And I drove almost 7 hours to get there. And you asked her a question that I thought was a good question, and it made me think. And so I'd like to respond. The question you asked is, why would you do that? What would provoke you to do that? And I think partly it's because of you, and in a kind of different way. So a lot of people call in and they don't like your guests. I don't like your guests either, but I like hearing their perspective. But when they share their perspective, they share a narrative, and me showing up is breaking that narrative.
Oh,
I want
interesting.
them to see more people that are shy, quiet, keep to themselves, but they just are in their own narrative.
Hey, John, hold on for a second. Hold on. You've got a very interesting perspective. I haven't heard it before. I want you to hold on to the break. I'll be right back, America. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show. Hi, this is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance Defending Freedom. I am their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to hughhewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
Given the human desire for excitement, it cannot be fully expunged. Nor should it be expunged. So trick number one, if it is indeed a trick, is to be excited over the mundane. I think that's the primary solution to the problem. See, the desire for excitement very frequently leads to bad things. It is not inherently a bad thing, but it does almost inevitably, in very many cases, it leads to bad things. I quoted the terror. I mean, to give the total extreme, you had SS murderers, and they had a saying, "I never feel as alive as when I'm killing." They're apparently, for some humans, there is quite a rush in killing somebody. The psychopaths who capture people and then kill them often speak about these are true mentally ill psychopaths, but nevertheless there's something to be learned from them. The rush that they get from killing someone is not something I can relate to, but something I can read and believe.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
The indoctrination of the American voter has been going on for a very, very long period of time. And we as Republicans, we as believers in liberty, we as conservatives should have pushed back a lot sooner. And we need to push back harder. That's why I made the Uncle Tom movie, because we also have to fight this battle at the cultural level too. Melissa, thank you so much for that. This is a crucial election. I'll tell you why. These guys get in charge. By these guys, I'm talking about Democrats, of course. Assume they take the presidency. Let's assume they take the Senate, retain control of the House. They're going to immediately get rid of the filibuster so that they can pass any budget they want on a simple majority vote. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Washington, D.C. as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Puerto Rico as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to push for a commission to study reparations, for crying out loud. They're going to raise taxes. They're going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. And those tax cuts, 80% of the benefits went through the non-top 1%. They're going to push for the legalization of the illegal aliens who are here, amnesty. And believe me, the number of illegal aliens in America is not 11 million. That's a number that they all cite. One study by a professor from Yale, so therefore you know it must be legitimate, puts the number at between 20 and 25 million illegal aliens. That would change our voting electorate forever. That's exactly why the Democrats want to do it. Can you imagine if 11 to 20 million illegal aliens turn voters, pull the lever for the Republican Party? We wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Michael Medved at michaelmedved.com for Town Hall. The appointment of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court counts as a masterstroke and easily one of the best decisions of Donald Trump's presidency. In an election season when liberals and media try to characterize conservatives as old, angry, bigoted, extreme, and lacking in empathy, Judge Barrett displays the opposite characteristics. At age 48, she's youthful, a genial consensus builder, and mother of 7, including a special needs child and 2 adopted kids from Haiti. On a court dominated for decades by Yale and Harvard graduates, she's a breath of Midwestern fresh air, beloved by her students at Notre Dame. Most importantly, she'll give new life to the originalist thinking of her mentor, Justice Antonin Scalia, in stressing what the Constitution actually says, not what Judge wanted to say. As Americans have been losing faith in public institutions, Judge Barrett can help to restore their confidence. I'm Michael Medved.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Here was what the president pointed out. He wants, this is the facts. This is the fact. Democrats.
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. I'm talking with John in southern Delaware. John drove 7 hours to the Trump rally in Erie, Pennsylvania last night. You know, John, I could drive 7 hours to see the Browns beat the Raiders in 2 weeks, but I won't do that because I've got job to do in the Beltway. So you drove 7 hours last night. Why?
The main reason why is I wanted to break the narrative. I think that every time I watch any of the news programming, I get a sense that they think that this thing is in the bag, that Trump supporters are not going to come out for him. And I wasn't a Trump supporter. But the very fact that they make it seem like that they everything and we know nothing is the main reason I want to get out there and show President Trump that there are people there. And Washington doesn't represent us, at least the way it's been.
Now, tell us about the crowd. I had Marianne tell me earlier, but there are new listeners. People have tuned in since Marianne was on. There were 10,000 plus people in Erie, Pennsylvania last night. Tell us about the crowd.
Yeah, at least. And so I'll say a couple of things. There were bleachers and there were no seats in the middle. In other rallies, there were seats in the middle. So people stood, not for an hour, but maybe 2 or 3 hours waiting for the president. And then while he spoke, they stood as well. There was at least 10,000 people there. All kinds of people. I will say that, I saw people that were from different ethnic backgrounds there, so that was highly represented. And everybody was excited. I've been to lefty rallies and righty rallies, and the thing that's different here is everybody is happy, optimistic. We see a future. We have somebody that's going to take us there. So it's really encouraging for everybody that's there. It's also a safe space.
Did you talk to strangers?
I did. I talked to one lady that was next to me. It was her first time being at a Trump rally. And she said, I just had to come. I had to come. I was not going to miss it. I didn't get to ask her why, but, the sentiment was that, we think he's doing a great job and we want to show our support, even though we can't say it publicly in our workspaces or to anybody else. We want to at least show that we're with him.
So you believe there is a shy Trump voter that is significant out there?
I believe it, and I believe I'm one of them.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Let's go to, I had a Houston voter who dropped because I've got Wesley Hunt, who is coming up next hour, running for Congress in Houston. If you're in Houston, you call me back. Tom in Tampa, Florida. Tom, welcome. Who are you voting for? Who'd you vote for 4 years ago?
I voted. Good morning, Hugh. By the way, good to talk to you. First time caller.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
My wife and I sat down. We have a little tradition. We sit down at our kitchen island and fill out our ballots together. And 4 years ago, I filled in for Gary Johnson. I'm a Republican. I've become Republican. I started out Democrat, but I've become a Republican over the years. And I just thought Trump was, I don't know, the whole, grab him by the you-know-what and his lack of experience. I thought he was going to become a liberal, and that's the last thing was another liberal Republican. So I voted for Gary Johnson, and my wife, she was all caught up in the whole, female for president for the first time, so she voted for Clinton. We didn't talk for a week or so after we put our ballots in, but that's okay. And but anyways, we filled them out together last week, and we both filled them in for Trump.
Why?
For me, it's real, and her too as well. This is the best economy we've both seen in our lifetime. My wife and I are both actually born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. We moved down to Tampa about 6 years ago.
You left God's country? You left?
I did.
Where'd you go to high school? Are you a Rayon? Are you a Austinburg Fitch? What are you?
I graduated from Hubbard High School.
Oh, Hubbard Tigers. You played Kennedy Eagles.
Eagles. No, the Eagles.
Hubbard Eagles. Oh, that's right. It was Eagles versus Eagles. That's right.
That's right. So, I 4 years ago, Hugh, I was making about $52,000 a year. I'm making $90 now, and my wife as well. It's just the best economy we've ever seen in our life, and Trump is just, whether it's the judges or the other stuff, he's just exceeded all my expectations.
But your wife isn't excited about Kamala Harris being the first African American vice president?
No. I mean, she's kind of a Youngstown, Democrat in that, she's not crazy liberal. She's a union blue collar Democrat. Like
you bet, a Tim Ryan Democrat. I tell people, if you grew up in the Mahoning Valley, Democrats, old school Democrats. Like my grandfather was a Democrat for his 101 years. He was an FDR fireman. These people are working people.
Yep, first person I ever voted for, and he was my favorite. I love Jim Trafficant. I know that at the end it didn't go well, but that's who we are, and we've made the transition, and we just aren't aligned with. We're not liberals, and so neither of us voted for him last time. We'll see. I try to read a lot, and these polls scare me a little bit, but I can only do what I can do. But we both voted. We were both non-Trump voters last time. We both voted for him this time.
All right, Tom, thank you. Go Hubbard. Not really. I hope they lose to the Eagles. Greg in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Greg.
Good morning, sir. Thanks for taking my call.
Always good to hear from 89.9. Go Browns.
That's right. Well, I was kind of taken aback by your surprise that there are quiet people like many of the previous callers, and I would identify the same way that maybe we're on the meek, quiet, reserved side. And I did not vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I thought one of his comments about knowing more than the generals, and he said, the generals, I know more than the generals. I don't think you do, sir.
He actually told that to me. Yes,
well,
I remember that.
And I thought, no, I was reluctant to vote for him, so we went third party. And we were cautiously surprised that he won. And I think this year we're going to see more of the same. A lot of people who did not vote at all in 2016, I think if they have common sense, they've looked and they've seen the everyday negativity from things important to things unimportant. One of the major things for me was people that picked on his skin color, his orange skin color. If you're going to use color as a deciding factor in any of your decisions, and orange turns out to be a negative for you, well, then I can't agree with anything else you're going to do, because you're going to base things on color. This time
Greg, have you already voted? There's early voting in Ohio, as our friends at KeepAmerica.com tell us. Have you already voted?
No, I'm going to vote on the traditional day, the way it's supposed to be. I am kind of fed up with this prostitution, I guess is a good word, of the election system where anything goes. You can vote 6 weeks ahead of time. You can vote by mail. No, vote on the day that's set aside for that purpose. There's very few people that need to vote absentee. The rest of this is just done to roil the waters and muddy things and confuse people and leave room for problems.
Shenanigans. That's what's happened in California. Republicans go to bed having won and they wake up losers when people keep counting. And it happened in Washington State when they counted over and over again until the Republican, what's his name? I can't remember his name. They just kept counting. They kept counting until he lost. Hey, Greg, thank you. I want to talk to Chantel in Houston. Chantel, do you know who Wesley Hunt is?
Yes, I do. We're planning to vote for him.
He's going to be on next hour. He is going to be a great congressman. I'm glad to hear that. You're voting for Trump now. Did you vote for him in 2016?
No, I voted for, I think his name was Edward Mullins last time around.
Oh yeah, Dan. Yeah, the Mormon guy from CIA background. Yep.
Yeah. No.
Why
this
have you
time
changed
around,
your mind?
Because I have had 4 years to get better acquainted with Trump. There's still a lot that I don't like, mainly it's exterior things. He's rough. He's the tweets I don't care for. The constant, he speaks differently, I think, to the media and differently at rallies than he does when he's with other professionals. And so I've had the chance to listen to him speak to other professionals. And that was what convinced me that, okay, he actually knows what he's talking about. And then the whole, the Middle East thing convinced me that...
Oh, the Abraham Accords are a big deal. There's never has something so important been so little discussed in a presidential election. The first major Middle East peace agreement since the Camp David Accords, and it doesn't exist in the eyes of the mainstream media because it doesn't fit the narrative.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chantel. Let me go back to Ohio and talk to Scott. Hey, Scott, who are you voting for this time?
Hey, good morning, Hugh. Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for being a patriot, man.
Thank you.
Yes, we did not vote for Donald Trump in 2016. We wrote in Ted Cruz. However, the reminiscent question that Ronald Reagan asked, are you better off after my first 4 years? And if you are, vote for me again. So we're voting for Trump this time.
You're better off?
Yes, we are. Much better off.
And do you think there are a lot of people like you who, have you been polled?
No, I have not been polled. We have not been polled.
I really didn't expect to have many people call in and say they didn't vote for Trump and they're voting for Trump. I really didn't, but
okay,
it's impressive. It's an impressive number. Yeah. I'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you, Scott. Nicole in Virginia. Nicole's a first-time voter?
Yes, sir.
So you didn't vote for Trump last time. How old are you, Nicole?
I am 34, and I have never voted. I've really never been into politics, but the pandemic and the fake news kind of changed my mind.
And so which part of Virginia are you in? Are you in Southern Virginia? I'm all over Virginia. This show is heard in Bristol. It's heard in the Beltway.
I am actually in Warren County, Virginia, close to Winchester, Front Royal.
Oh, you betcha. Yep. I'm out on Front Royal, and I was just in Winchester, in fact, 2 weekends ago to see some friends with the fetching Mrs. Hewitt. Had a lovely lunch on your downtown pavilion there outside. It was great. Yes. So, Nicole, did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did. I voted early, and I voted for Trump.
Why?
Just because I agree on his policies, and I think that he has done a lot in his past 4 years. And I like the policies that he has in place going forward. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, if you just pay attention, it's clear, it's blatant. Trump is the answer.
All right, Nicole, thank you. I am genuinely blown away. I continue to invite people who voted against Trump in 2016 and are voting for Trump to call me. 1-800-520-1234. One more of this segment. George in Kentucky. Go ahead, George.
Hi, Hugh. Good morning. I'm one of those who did not vote for Trump. In 16, I could not stomach the personality. I really only voted on what I had to go on at the time, which was his persona and his personality. Now we have 4 years of seeing his track record, what he's done. I can't forget how bad the economy was under Obama. I can't forget how Obama went around the world apologizing for America's behavior historically. It just disgusted me. And now we have 4 years of a great track record, great economy, regulations reduced, and I can't not vote for Trump. I think it would be absolutely crazy not to.
George, thank you. More of that coming up, America. I had not planned on this, but I'm amazed by the calls. I'm also amazed that ReliefFactor.com works. I am amazed. I've been using it for 5 years. I hope you have been too. You'll feel a lot better. I carry in curcumin, resveratrol, and omega. The only supplement I took until yesterday, my doctor said I have to add a bunch of new supplements as well, but they're not Relief Factor. These approve of what I'm taking. I carry in curcumin, resveratrol, and omega. All right? I carry in curcumin, resveratrol, and omega. That's ReliefFactor.com. $19.95 will get you started. Go there, join the tens of thousands of people who take it, and don't forget HonorBoundCoffee.com. HonorBoundCoffee.com. 100% of the profits from your subscription to Honor Bound Coffee, and they have 4 different blends, 4 different grinds, 16 choices. 100% of your profits from your Honor Bound Coffee go to support military families. Please go there and to relieffactor.com. Come right back to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
This is Michael Medved at michaelmedved.com for Town Hall. The appointment of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court counts as a masterstroke and easily one of the best decisions of Donald Trump's presidency. In an election season when liberals and media try to characterize conservatives as old, angry, bigoted, extreme, and lacking in empathy, Judge Barrett displays the opposite characteristics. At age 48, she's youthful, a genial consensus builder, and mother of 7, including a special needs child and 2 adopted kids from Haiti. On a court dominated for decades by Yale and Harvard graduates, she's a breath of Midwestern fresh air, beloved by her students at Notre Dame. Most importantly, she'll give new life to the originalist thinking of her mentor, Justice Antonin Scalia, in stressing what the Constitution actually says, not what Judge wanted it to say. As Americans have been losing faith in public institutions, Judge Barrett can help to restore their confidence. I'm Michael Medved.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on The Mike Gallagher Show.
Here was what the president pointed out. He wants, this is the facts. This is the fact. Democrats are blocking the last relief package that Republicans put on the table and had the backing of the White House. Over a month ago, Democrats filibustered any discussion on an eventual passage of a $300 billion package. $1,200 to desperate Americans. $400 a week unemployment. The president broke it down last night beautifully.
The problem you have is Nancy Pelosi. She couldn't care less about the worker. She couldn't care less about our people. And we should have a stimulus. And I want a stimulus. The Republicans will approve a stimulus. The problem is she doesn't want to do it because she thinks it's bad for her election. The fact is she's wrong because people know she's in our way. She's not approving it. She doesn't appreciate our people, and she doesn't appreciate at all our workers. Nancy Pelosi, we are ready to sign and pass stimulus, but she's got to. People do not love.
And of course, right away, you can hear the minor bird interrupting him. That's not a shock. I told one of my kids last night, I said, Dad, Juliana Guthrie's terrible. Well, that's not a shock. You thought she was going to do a good job and be fair? You thought an NBC Today Show host would be fair to President Trump? Don't be distracted by that. Focus on his answers.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Said Kayleigh McEnany is the press secretary for the President of the United States. When she posted a New York Post article, not just some crazy tweet, she posts a New York Post article, she was locked out of her Twitter account. Facebook suppressed this stuff. Twitter suppressed this stuff.
They did it for different reasons, and the explanations that they gave were equally dissatisfying. Facebook tried to claim that this was illegitimately gained material, that they didn't have the right to this material to begin with, that it was hacked.
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. Coming up at the top of the next hour, Wesley Hunt, running for Congress in Houston. One of the great warrior candidates out there. I've got a soft spot for them. Tom Cotton, Dan Crenshaw, Mike Gallagher, John James. I've always loved when the veterans of the Long War come back, put down their rifle, and pick up their appeal to the voters of America, and they do well. And we're going to look forward to talking to Wesley Hunt next hour. I am surprised by the number of people calling in who are voting for Trump in this cycle. I am not afraid of these turnout numbers. I love this turnout. That means the pollsters have no idea what's going on. No idea. Could be a blowout win either way. But I love what I'm hearing from you. Dan in Sarasota, Florida, you voted for Trump this year, or you're going to?
Yes, Hugh, thank you for taking my call.
I am going to vote for Trump, and I did it yesterday in Sarasota, Florida. The polls are open.
I know, and Keep America, America.com will tell everyone where early in-person voting in Ohio, Michigan, Arizona, Florida, it's underway. Get out and vote. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
So why did you vote for him in 2016?
No, I didn't. I really didn't like some of the sleazy things that he did, like that tape.
Yep. But why did you change your mind?
Well, right now it seems like he's the only choice I have. I mean, there were 27 candidates to run for president on the Democratic side. I think it was something like 27, and they picked the one that's the worst.
Because he's been in Washington 47 years?
And hasn't done anything.
Well,
so, and
good
now
argument.
He's now embroiled in this email thing, so he's just going downhill, man.
Now, I didn't prompt you. You're aware of the emails.
Yes, I am. Of course I am.
See, I didn't prompt you. I just wanted to make sure people knew about it. I believe the whole country knows about it, even though mainstream media is covering it up. Thank you, Jim. Let me go to Jane in Atlanta. Good morning, Jane.
Good morning.
Well, did you vote for Trump in 2016?
I did not.
Who'd you vote for?
Like him. I wrote in Ben Sass.
All right. So what are you doing this time?
This time I'm voting Trump.
All right.
There's no question about it. I thought 4 years ago that he was liberal and that he would show his true colors once he got into office, and he hasn't done that. Maybe because the liberals attacked him so badly that he just, assumed a defensive crouch and came out swinging against whatever they were for. But for whatever reason, his policy overall has been good, and I think the Democrats are now a Marxist revolutionary party, and Joe Biden is a national security threat, so there's no choice. You vote Trump.
Jane, do you think there are a lot of Janes out there who have changed their mind about Trump?
Yes, I think so. I know some.
Are you worried about the huge voting that's occurring early?
No, I'm really not, because the level of enthusiasm on the Trump side indicates to me that they're going to get out there early and make sure their vote is in there before Election Day. So I think I don't know. I can't predict, but I think that it's a good sign.
Did you vote for David Perdue?
Oh, I'm definitely voting for David Perdue, yeah.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure we got some Senate races we got to win. Thank you, Jane. We got to win Susan Collins in Maine. We got to win Joni Ernst in Iowa, Martha McSally in Arizona, David Perdue in Georgia, Tom Tillis in North Carolina. These are all crucial races. Cory Gardner in Colorado. Let me talk to Joe in Central Ohio, another Buckeye. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Hugh, good morning. I did not vote for Trump last time. It was the first presidential election I did not participate in since Reagan.
Why not?
I didn't like either candidate. I mean, I like Trump as a person, this, that, and the other thing, and then we got 20, 25 of us at tailgate for Buckeye games every Saturday, and only one of the 25 was voting for Trump. 2 of them were voting for Hillary. Nobody else was voting anything, and we're all voting for Trump this time. I just want you to know that.
How interesting.
I wasn't sure, man. I liked the guy, but I didn't think he was serious, and I was a Scott Walker fan, so.
So you think Ohio's pretty securely in the Trump camp, even though the polls show Biden with a 1-point lead?
Well, I can just tell you about Fayette County, which is where I live, and the Biden signs are 25-1, and the Biden signs are only in Washington courthouse, basically, and there's only about 10 of them. So, yeah, I mean, and people in Columbus, I know that keep buying the signs and buying the signs and buying signs because they keep getting stolen. My son-in-law being one of them. It's tough to show any support for Trump if you live in an urban area, but where I live.
Joe, what's very interesting to me is I know Ohio better than any other state, and I believe Ohio has benefited greatly from Donald Trump being president, and I believe it's going to be an easy win for Trump. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But the polls show Biden up or Donald Trump up by 1, and I think he's going to win by double digits in Ohio, and that just makes me think the polls have no idea what's going on. Joe, thank you. I will be back with more of this, friends. I don't have time. Justin, Jimmy Allen, don't go anywhere. I'm coming back with Wesley Hunt, then I'll talk to you. Stay tuned, America. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.
This is Owen Strand for townhall.com. If you're on a college campus today or have a child on campus, there's a solid chance you'll hear this. All white people are racist. You might hear this too. America is founded on white supremacy. These two sentences are not mere overheated emotion. They express an ideology called critical race theory, or CRT, which argues that race is a social construct made by white people. Just as race was once used to enslave and terrorize, so it is used today to keep America unequal, unfair, and hostile to minorities. The Trump administration just took symbolic and courageous action against CRT. It issued a memo to federal agencies calling for the end of the government's CRT racial sensitivity trainings, terming them divisive anti-American propaganda. Does America have real issues in its past? Yes. Have we made real progress that we must guard carefully? Also yes. The White House has led well here. I'm Owen Strand.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
So we have the New York Post article that I want to get right into. Biden's secret emails. Can you just tell us a little bit of background on how you were able to obtain these emails and build it out for us?
So there is just a repairman. He repairs computers, specializes in Mac, somewhere in the area where the Bidens live. And about a year and a half ago, Hunter Biden, inebriated, he was somewhat drunk, came in with 3 devices to be repaired. The gentleman recognized him only when he came up very close because he has bad eyesight. And he took the 3 devices and he said, one of them is gone. And they deconstructed it and got rid of it. He said, one of them just needs a keyboard to be attached to it. And we can see if we can run it. And he said, the third one's in bad shape, but I think I can save it. Hunter Biden, who then had identified himself, said, well, that's the important one, meaning the one that has to be repaired. So they signed up a form document which required payment, but it also had a very interesting clause in it. It said if you don't reclaim your property within 90 days of the completion of the work, the property is deemed to be abandoned. And under the law, abandoned property becomes the property of the first person who takes it. So the merchant would be the person who took it. So for 70, 80, 90 days, he was trying to reach Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden never responded. 120 days, 130 days, never responded. Then he started hearing things on television and radio about the crimes allegedly committed.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
This is the point that Scott Adams made. He said at the beginning, said,
I think he said that really well. I agree with him.
Another Russiagate thing. I'm not interested, because that's what they want you to be. They want you to switch off so you believe the surface garbage, the prostitutes,
and
the
what
urinate.
you think you remember. Most people, there's so much. So I think I think it's a really exciting movie. I think a lot of people have said, wow, I didn't realize how fun and exciting and kind of inspiring it would be to watch, considering you're like, well, I know this story, but actually you don't know the story.
So what is the story? People need to watch it. We'll tell them how they can watch it. It's the plot against the president, but in the Washington style of the elevator pitch. And you made this movie, but if you had to sell it in Hollywood, what is the 2-sentence pitch of the plot against the president? What happened?
Well, I mean, I'd say it was an absolutely organized coup against an administration that
by who?
By the intelligence agencies, by overreaching law enforcement agencies like the FBI and by the Democrat, the DNC and the Hillary campaign, in addition to the Obama administration. I mean, I think we do a pretty good job of showing how all of those things are connected.
All
in
the agencies,
perfect
the White
synchronization.
House, Brennan, Comey, the
Absolutely.
NSA.
The real, I think one of the better points that was made is that you don't really understand the real danger and implications of what happened. It's like people are like, oh, Russiagate. Yeah, it turned out not to be true. And that was really annoying that we had to go through that. But actually, it's really dangerous.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Michael Medved at michaelmedved.com for Town Hall. The appointment of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court counts as a masterstroke and easily one of the best decisions of Donald Trump's presidency. In an election season when liberals and media try to characterize conservatives as old, angry, bigoted, extreme, and lacking in empathy, Judge Barrett displays the opposite characteristics. At age 48, she's youthful, a genial consensus builder, and mother of 7, including a special needs child and 2 adopted kids from Haiti. On a court dominated for decades by Yale and Harvard graduates, she's a breath of Midwestern fresh air, beloved by her students at Notre Dame. Most importantly, she'll give new life to the originalist thinking of her mentor, Justice Antonin Scalia, in stressing what the Constitution actually says, not what Judge wanted to say. As Americans have been losing faith in public institutions, Judge Barrett can help to restore their confidence. I'm Michael Medved.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders for tomorrow. Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
Pat is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pat, you're on The Larry Elder Show. Thank you so much for calling.
It seems to me during the Democratic primary, there was a lot of talk about not only taxing the wealthy, but something called the wealth tax. And it is my understanding that they were taxing the wealth that you had from your savings, from your assets, from your house, that kind of thing.
That's right.
At 10% a year, at every year. It's
Every
like
year.
a living estate tax that goes every year. Now, I haven't heard anything about that. Can you tell me what that is and if they are still trying to promote that tax? Because I think us seniors with some savings would probably not be happy about that.
Well, you're absolutely right. And certainly that did come up during the campaign. I will tell you this. The lawmakers here in the state of California are absolutely proposing a wealth tax. They want to increase the state income tax from the highest in the nation, 13.3% to 16%. And they also want to pass a wealth tax. Now, why do I mention what's going on in California? Because every dumb idea that the federal government wants to do has been tried at least twice in California. And so California is considering this. The lawmakers are all Democrats. Democrats occupy 2/3 of both chambers of the legislature here in California, plus they run the governorship. So in the unlikely event that the governor vetoed such a tax, there are enough lawmakers in both chambers to override the veto. So do I believe that if these guys get in charge, there will be something like a wealth tax? I certainly believe that because they believe that rich people don't pay enough. The average Democrat believes rich people don't pay very much in taxes, even though the top 1% pay 39, almost 40% of all the federal income taxes. But
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Dennis Prager Show.
In deaths per million, they're the only one of any size that had, I mean, I'm not counting San Marino or, let's see, Channel Island. They are the only ones with no deaths. No masks, no deaths. Gather together. Never locked down. Kids went to school. Front page article, LA Times, teachers refuse to go in until it's safe. Yeah, well, that's real courageous. Now you'll say, well, it's not a matter of courage. You got to be safe. Are kids really dying? There isn't one kid in all of
Morning glory, America. Bonjour, hi, Canada. Greetings to my 300 affiliates across the United States of America. You know, if you've listened to any of my 20 years on this show, I have got a soft spot for members of the United States military who fought in the Long War. Senator Tom Cotton started appearing on this show before he was elected, as did Dan Crenshaw, Mike Gallagher. John James has been on a lot. He's going to be the new senator from Michigan. He's coming on tomorrow. And the latest entrant, Wesley Hunt. Wesley Hunt is a native of Houston, Texas, from a military family, went to St. John's School. After his graduation from St. John's, he went to West Point, sadly not a Navy man, he's a West Point man, commissioned in the U.S. Army, spent 8 years in the Army in the aviation branch. He flew the Apache helicopter, did a combat tour in Iraq, 2 deployments to Saudi Arabia. Then he got out, went to Cornell University, which I believe is a degree-granting institution, got his MBA, went back to work in Houston, got married, and he's a new dad. Good morning, Wesley. Welcome to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Great job, Hugh. Thank you so much for having me, sir. Really appreciate it.
Of all that stuff, that new dad running for Congress is the thing that makes me most admire you. That is crazy. How's the baby?
The baby is amazing. Her name is Olivia Lily. She's about 3 weeks old. And I tell you what, it makes it very easy to get up and do this every day when you see a face like that. Because you know what you're doing it for. It makes it really easy. So
yeah, you're not sleeping anyway. You might as well get out there and work. Tell us about the 7th District and why you decided to run this year. It's going to be a tough year. It's a hard year. Everybody's pouring. I guess the Democrats are pouring a wave of money on top of your head. And I want people to go to wesleyfortexas.com if they want to help you. But why did you get into the fray?
Yes, I am running to preserve our values and our way of life down here in Houston, Texas. This is the energy capital of the world. And my district has the entire energy corridor in it. So I would argue that this is the energy district of the world. And we need people to defend our values here in Houston. I come from a military family. As you stated, my dad did 23 years in the Army. I'm a West Point graduate, did 8 years active duty. My sister is a West Point graduate. She did 23 years active duty. My brother is also a West Point graduate, but he did 5 years in the Navy, but we don't hold that against him.
Oh, and good for him. We got one right. My son-in-law, and nephew are all active duty Navy, so we're just not going to be agreeing when they meet in the brigade.
Yeah, that's right. There's about 60 years worth of military service just in my immediate family, and obviously, when you have 3 kids that come from three siblings that all went to West Point, pretty conservative home. And the same in Texas that created the Hunt family has got to be intact, not just for my 2 daughters, but for everyone's children and for everyone's grandchildren. And when you see the direction of the country right now, regardless of your race, religion, color, or creed, I don't want to hear that. This is the wrong direction. We need leaders that are willing to sacrifice again, take on this mission, and I consider this to be my next deployment.
Well, Wesley Hunt, I found out about you from Dan Crenshaw when he made that great video. I can't keep track of the House races. There are 435 of them, right? I don't know who's running. And then Dan Crenshaw makes this video, and they got this Apache helicopter pilot. So I assume, like John James, you were a fighter helicopter pilot. That video, and then you show up on Rogan's podcast. So all of a sudden, you've become the flavor of the day. What do you think about this sudden attention?
I think it's exactly what we need, and this is the kind of young conservative leadership that people are yearning for right now. The best part about that video is the idea that we are relating a conservative message to the next generation and doing it in a very nuanced way. We are the next generation of young conservatives that are going to lead this country here in the future. Anytime somebody asks me, oh, Wesley, are you concerned about where we're going to be in the next 10 years? I say absolutely not. Because this is why young veterans get into the breach right now to ensure that we have a future. And one thing about John James, he's actually my West Point classmate.
Oh, is he really?
Or Blair. So tell him I said hi tomorrow.
I will.
We were in flight school together. And one fun fact, his unit is the unit that replaced my unit in Iraq. So
which base were you? Where were you flying out of, Wesley Hunt?
I was in Camp Taji, Iraq, which is in the northern part of Baghdad.
Right, so when you flew helicopters coming out, obviously nothing's going to rattle you, right? Because you're low to the ground and you're in the fray. Nothing's going to upset you about this campaign. But how do you compare a campaign to win a war with a campaign to win a congressional seat?
You have to be adaptable. You have to work tirelessly, and you have to know that people have invested in you. It's incumbent upon you to do your job to invest back in them. It's the sense of duty. Literally, our motto at West Point is duty, honor, country. And when you're willing to put your life on the line for this country, like many of us have done, many brave men and women have done, it makes running for Congress actually pretty easy because it's just another form of service. And the discipline to get up in the morning, go to the meetings, make the calls, and doing it because you have a sense of duty for this country, you're absolutely right. It makes it easy. And I always remind people that, look, at the end of the day, no matter what anybody says about me on Twitter or on social media, I'm not getting shot at.
You're not.
So-
You're not getting. let me remind people. WesleyForTexas.com. What is the money race like? I know that they're pouring money on your head from the other side. Are people around the country rallying to WesleyForTexas.com?
We need all the help that we can get. And yes, people are, but as you know, Nancy Pelosi is funneling money into this race through Act Blue. It's coming in from California and New York, and they're trying to buy the energy capital of the world. And that's why I'm here, because we have got to stop them. And I tell you what, we're doing well down here in Texas. And if it's Texas versus the world, I'll take Texas. However, we're going to need your help as well in order to get across the finish line. I made a joke the other day on Fox News. I was talking about how we have the Alamo here in San Antonio, and it was defended by many brave Texans. But Davy Crockett was from Tennessee.
But you know, Ohio's contingent, the Burgee of Ohio, where I'm from, Wesley, hangs in the Alamo. So we were there too. So my Buckeye listeners can give the Wesley for Texas. Tell me about the 7th District. Where is it? Because we're on in Houston. I want people to know when they're a 7th District voter. Then go to keepamericaamerica.com, find out where to vote. But where is the 7th District specifically in Houston?
7th District is in the western suburbs of Houston, Texas. The major subdivisions are West University, River Oaks, Bel Air, parts of Meyerland, Memorial Villages, Tanglewood, the entire energy corridor out to Katy, and then it catches the western part of Cypress, north of I-10 and Jersey Village, roughly.
And so tell me, is the National Party, is Senator Cornyn who's running been down there with you? Has everybody showed up for you?
Yes, everybody showed up for me. We are really putting together a pretty good coalition. And even as you saw in that video that we did with Dan, even us candidates that are just surrounding each other are giving us the best support that we possibly can. And Dan's been an unbelievable asset in this entire process.
Yeah, Dan Crenshaw is one of our brave new superstars in the Republican Party. I've been at this since 1976, Wesley. You weren't even born. And I'm a Republican. Everyone knows that. But we have to regenerate the bench. And I don't think there's anyone better than people who have worn the uniform of the United States who have gone out there and faced the enemy. And you did that. Then you went to Saudi Arabia, and you know energy because you also know Saudi Arabia. What was your post over there? Were you doing diplomacy?
Yes, I was. I was a diplomatic liaison officer, primarily focusing on foreign military sales. Obviously, we sell a lot of equipment to the Saudis, and they have U.S. military officers that are there to help negotiate some of those deals. And you're right, it was a fascinating time for us to see, especially when I was there from 2010 through 2012, and to see our oil independence and energy independence now because of hydraulic fracturing is phenomenal, because that wasn't the case even when I was there. So now we get to operate more autonomously because we have our energy independence and we're safer. And so when I look at the policies of what a Joe Biden is proposing by banning fracking, and when I look at what Kamala Harris has done by being the co-author of the Green New Deal in the Senate, it's absolutely ridiculous to me, and it would destroy Houston, Texas. And right now, our current Congresswoman, Lizzie Fletcher, has said nothing close to what I just said. She votes with Nancy Pelosi over 99% of the time, like many of those freshmen that got in here back in 2018. And it's time for us to take our voice back. And I learned a lot in Saudi Arabia about energy independence, and it's very important that we get it back.
Last question I want to ask you, Wesley Hunt. Come back next week. Let's make sure we get you on next week as well. Is that, do Houston voters get that when they vote for your opponent, they're voting for Nancy Pelosi? Do they understand that? Because I can't understand one Democratic congressman being elected from Texas because Nancy Pelosi is off the map to the left and has no Texas value.
None at all. And we have a saying down here in Texas, don't California my Texas. And it is something that we hold true, and it's important for us to have the resources to get that message out. That's why we need as much help as we can get. We're doing a very good job here, but we have 13 days to finish this thing up strong. And you're right, I do believe that the more people can see candidates like us that are talking pragmatically and can tell the truth about what Nancy Pelosi has done to her delegation. And a vote for Lizzie Fletcher is a vote for Nancy Pelosi because she's proven that we need the resources to get that message out.
You know, 13 Days of Glory at the Siege of Alamo. It's a great day. It's a lucky day to have you on. That's the old song. If I had a producer, we would have played it. Wesley Hunt, great to make your acquaintance. Thanks for your service to the country. Thanks for running. Come back next week. Remember, America, all you have to do is go to Wesley for Texas. Now, you Steelers fan, that's spelled WSLEY for FOR Texas.com. WesleyforTexas.com. Stay tuned, America. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.
This is Michael Medved at michaelmedved.com for Town Hall. The appointment of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court counts as a masterstroke and easily one of the best decisions of Donald Trump's presidency. In an election season when liberals and media try to characterize conservatives as old, angry, bigoted, extreme, and lacking in empathy, Judge Barrett displays the opposite characteristics. At age 48, she's youthful, a genial consensus builder, and mother of 7, including a special needs child and 2 adopted kids from Haiti. On a court dominated for decades by Yale and Harvard graduates, she's a breath of Midwestern fresh air, beloved by her students at Notre Dame. Most importantly, she'll give new life to the originalist thinking of her mentor, Justice Antonin Scalia, in stressing what the Constitution actually says, not what Judge wanted to say. As Americans have been losing faith in public institutions, Judge Barrett can help to restore their confidence. I'm Michael Medved.
The Pepperdine Graduate School of Public Policy, impacting policy decisions today, preparing public leaders. Trending now on The Charlie Kirk Show.
Amy Coney Barrett was, of course, pressed on Roe versus Wade. Let's go to cut 1. This is her response on the decision of Roe versus Wade. Play tape.
I think on that question, I'm going to invoke Justice Kagan's description, which I think is perfectly put. When she was in her confirmation hearing, she said that she was not going to grade precedent or give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And I think in an area where precedent continues to be pressed and litigated, as is true of Casey, it would be particularly it would actually be wrong and a violation of the canons for me to do that as a sitting judge.
Now, Roe versus Wade was a decision that nationalized abortion. Now, prior to Roe versus Wade, there were several states across the country that had outlawed abortion. The problem with Roe versus Wade is not even the issue of abortion. Abortion does stop a beating heart, and abortion does terminate a human life. The Roe versus Wade overturned the state mandates. People did not vote for this. It was one of the most undemocratic decisions in the history of the Supreme Court. It basically nationalized the slaughter of innocent life. It was a 7-2 decision. It was done by the Burger Court. The Warren Court prior to the Burger Court really set the landscape and set the framing for Roe versus Wade. And what's happened since Roe versus Wade? 60 million plus abortions in
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. When I was a kid, that was my favorite movie, The Alamo. 13 Days of Glory at the Siege of Alamo. I got to tell you, though, in the Alamo, there hangs the Ohio Burgee. No Ohio, no Alamo. I always tell my Texas friends that. Just remember, they always talk about Davy Crockett from Tennessee. It was the Ohio guys that made Texas, Texas. And that's why we gave them football. Let me check the markets, brought to you by Andrew and Todd. AndrewandTodd.com. Andrew Del Rey, Todd Avakian. Two of the best men I know in all of the people I know, and they're in the mortgage business. They lend you money to buy a home or to refinance your home. They're two of the best guys I know. Really, two of the guys I'd call if I was in a jam. Andrew Del Rey would do anything for me. I've known him for 20 years, was in my Bible study for many years when I lived in California. Todd Avakian, his colleague, I've known for 8 years. Two of the best people I know. So when you're going to go for help to buy a house or refinance a house, you're going to lay your whole financial life on the line, especially if you've got dinged up credit or you've never done it before, call 888-888-1172. These pros and their team are the best in the business. Just go to andrewandtodd.com. Yesterday, the Dow was up 113, the NASDAQ was up 37, the S&P up 16. But the key thing for me, today's yield on the 10-year Treasury has ticked up to 0.8. That's the first time it's gone over 0.8 in 6 months. That means these historic low interest rates are not a given. You got to get them now. Go to andrewandtodd.com. Go get them now. Back to the phones. I'm talking to people who are voting for Trump for the first time after not having done so 4 years ago. Justin in Dallas, Texas. Hello, Justin.
Good morning, Hugh.
Am I right? You didn't vote for Trump and you are going to this time?
I did not. I've never voted for a Republican in my life. I've typically voted independent. I voted for Gary Johnson 4 years ago. I had an issue with I didn't think Trump was very classy, and I know that's not the most important thing. I was worried about his policy more than anything. I think as an American president, class is important. I'm voting for Trump hands down because of his policy. That's really the most important reason to vote for any president. Everyone I know, their life is better because of the last 4 years and Trump being in office.
Yeah, Justin, I can't say it any better than that. Thank you. Jimmy in Tennessee. Who'd you vote for in 2016, Jimmy? Hello, Jimmy. Are you there? I think Jimmy's cell phone dropped on us. Alan in San Diego. Good morning, Alan. Who'd you vote for 4 years ago?
Well, I wrote in Ted Cruz. I was very, very skeptical of Donald Trump as a conservative. But it's really encouraged me thinking that there must be millions of conservatives like me that held back, just was uncertain. But I, like the previous caller, his policies, his follow through, I get irritated with the way he communicates and lots of other things. But to me, I've become a very pragmatic voter. It's all about getting the conservative agenda done.
Alan, did you hear John from Delaware who drove 7 hours to Erie last night in order to make a statement to the media?
No, I missed that.
That was amazing to me. I'm amazed by this show. I did not plan to do this show. I did not plan to talk to people who voted against Trump 4 years who are voting for it. This huge voter turnout does not bother me. It means all the polling models are wrong.
Yeah, I sure wish I lived in a swing state.
Hey, don't worry, buddy. Get out there and do your job. You can go give some money to Wesley Hunt, wesleyfortexas.com. Come right back, America. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show. Hi. This is Hugh Hewitt for Alliance Defending Freedom. I am their partner, as you should be, in their ongoing support to defend religious liberty and free speech in the United States. Not just for Christians, not just for Catholics, not just for Mormons and Jews, but for everybody. And they do it for free because of the generosity of people like you. Please go to hughhewitt.com and contribute to the banner at the very top. Please give generously today. Defend your freedoms.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
Given the human desire for excitement, it cannot be fully expunged. Nor should it be expunged. So trick number one, if it is indeed a trick, is to be excited over the mundane. I think that's the primary solution to the problem. See, the desire for excitement very frequently leads to bad things. It is not inherently a bad thing, but it does almost inevitably, in very many cases, it leads to bad things. I quoted the terror. I mean, to give the total extreme, you had SS murderers, and they had a saying, "I never feel as alive as when I'm killing." They're apparently, for some humans, there is quite a rush in killing somebody. The psychopaths who capture people and then kill them often speak about these are true mentally ill psychopaths, but nevertheless there's something to be learned from them. The rush that they get from killing someone is not something I can relate to, but something I can read and believe.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
The indoctrination of the American voter has been going on for a very, very long period of time. And we as Republicans, we as believers in liberty, we as conservatives should have pushed back a lot sooner. And we need to push back harder. That's why I made the Uncle Tom movie, because we also have to fight this battle at the cultural level too. Melissa, thank you so much for that. This is a crucial election. I'll tell you why. These guys get in charge. By these guys, I'm talking about Democrats, of course. Assume they take the presidency. Let's assume they take the Senate, retain control of the House. They're going to immediately get rid of the filibuster so that they can pass any budget they want on a simple majority vote. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Washington, D.C. as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Puerto Rico as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to push for a commission to study reparations, for crying out loud. They're going to raise taxes. They're going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. And those tax cuts, 80% of the benefits went through the non-top 1%. They're going to push for the legalization of the illegal aliens who are here, amnesty. And believe me, the number of illegal aliens in America is not 11 million. That's a number that they all cite. One study by a professor from Yale, so therefore you know it must be legitimate, puts a number at between 20 and 25 million illegal aliens. That would change our voting electorate forever. That's exactly why the Democrats want to do it. Can you imagine if 11 to 20 million illegal aliens turn voters, pull the lever for the Republican Party? We wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today.
This is Michael Medved at michaelmedved.com for Town Hall. The appointment of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the United States Supreme Court counts as a masterstroke and easily one of the best decisions of Donald Trump's presidency. In an election season when liberals and media try to characterize conservatives as old, angry, bigoted, extreme, and lacking in empathy, Judge Barrett displays the opposite characteristics. At age 48, she's youthful, a genial consensus builder, and mother of 7, including a special needs child and 2 adopted kids from Haiti. On a court dominated for decades by Yale and Harvard graduates, she's a breath of Midwestern fresh air, beloved by her students at Notre Dame. Most importantly, she'll give new life to the originalist thinking of her mentor,
Take more calls here in a moment. I want to tell you about a new book, though, by Bishop Aubrey Shines, founder of Conservative Clergy of Color, 8 Questions About Race. This will arm conservatives, in fact, it'll arm everyone, with responses to the Black Lives Matter organization and to the slogan you see everywhere. The book is a must-read for anyone who cares about their country, churches, and children. Get your copy. You just go to 8, spell it out, EIGHT, questionsaboutace.com. While you're there, you can buy copies for your friends, family, your fellow churchgoers. That's 8 questionsaboutace.com. Also want to remind you about Alliance Defending Freedom. Now, the West Coast is tuning in now. A few of you early risers are up. In Oregon, they know this story. They may not know it anywhere else. The Oregon governor has allowed public schools to open under a certain limit. She will not allow Christian schools of the same size to reopen. And her spokesperson said that could bankrupt. Go to Alliance Defending Freedom and see if, in fact, you know how to give. They're on top of HughHewitt.com. They're at the top of HughHewitt.com. The Alliance Defending, to give $100 or give your best gift at Alliance Defending Freedom. Please, please consider that. They need to be in the arena. I'm joined now by the Chief of Staff of the United States President, Mark Meadows. Good morning, Mr. Meadows. How are you?
Hugh, great to be with you and all your listeners, and certainly these are interesting times, but great to be with you.
How go the talks on the Hill? Is Nancy Pelosi leading us on, or is she really negotiating?
Well, she's more leading us on than negotiating, but it does look like that at least there's a break, and I can tell you that I'm having discussions with some of her staff today, along with Chairman Shelby on the Republican side for appropriations. She has not moved a lot, Hugh, and as you know, this is not your first, second, or third rodeo. You get to see it all the time. You're one of the most experienced people in terms of knowing the politics on Capitol Hill, and so her public rhetoric on how she's been willing to make compromises doesn't match the actual facts, but we're hopeful in the next 48 hours or so that there'll be some breakthroughs where she actually starts negotiating. She hasn't really been negotiating. It's been more Secretary Mnuchin making compromises and trying to work through some language that we can get passed in a bipartisan fashion.
Now, Chief of Staff Meadows, you've been talking to the president a lot. I've had all morning long, I didn't intend to do this, I talked to callers who did not vote for the president in 2016 and are voting for him now, including some who were at the rally in Erie last night. I'm kind of astonished by how many people have called in to say, I didn't vote for him for X, Y, and Z reason. I'm very much with him and now. Are you viewing the voting surge as a positive thing? Because there is a huge early voting surge, and I'm beginning to think it might portend a very good development for the president.
Well, Hugh, I do see that. Actually, we're looking from state to state, and I'll be frank, the mail-in absentee ballot requests were very troubling in terms of the number of voters that seem to be going the other way. The early voting numbers have been very, very promising, and I think it's like you're saying. I say it's people that have never voted for the president before. It's Democrats, unaffiliated, and Republicans that are saying, listen, he built the economy, he can do it again. He's not a politician, he's an executive that gets things done. I may not like his style, but I sure like his results, and that's what we're seeing. The enthusiasm. We were in Erie last night, just incredible. A little bit of flurries in the air, and just thousands and thousands of people out there wanting to hear the message of hope and prosperity that is coming their way.
Now, Chief of Staff Meadows, obviously the Attorney General works for the President. If the President wants to, he can direct Bill Barr to appoint a special counsel to look into the Biden email situation, both Bidens, and whether or not any laws were broken. I believe this is one of the few times in my life I believed a special counsel is necessary for this reason. If the President wins, people will believe any prosecution brought as a result of these emails will be a revenge prosecution. If he loses, they will believe that anything that doesn't happen will be because of a cover-up. Have you discussed with the President the need for a special counsel for these emails?
I certainly have. That's not to suggest that there's not an investigation going on now. We would not have visibility into that. Obviously, we could have, but for part of that aspect of trying to be neutral and not put our hand on Lady Justice's scales, we have not looked into that in terms of what may or may not be happening now. And as you know, the FBI and DOJ, they don't confirm whether there's an investigation that's ongoing or not. That being said, a special prosecutor being assigned is certainly something that has merit. It's also something that has been considered. It's not necessarily at the top of our priority list in this last 13 days, but as we're looking at that, we think an independent special counsel might be the best medicine for this. Not that anything would come out before November 3rd, nor should that be an expectation that any of your listeners would hear, but it would show the independence that you were talking about, Hugh.
And I believe whatever the result, if it was a special counsel, would be trusted, and otherwise one half of the country will not trust whatever happens with the Biden emails unless it comes from a special counsel. So I think it's the ideal situation. Have you discussed it with the Attorney General, Chief of Staff Meadows?
Really, my discussions with the Attorney General have been more about making sure that whatever we do, that we do it with an impartial view. I get into any further in terms of what discussions I may have had with Attorney General Barr. Honestly, I've tried to let him do his job independent of any direct contact from the White House. So most of what my conversations have been with Attorney General Barr have been more on some of the ongoing operations to stop gun violence in Chicago and St. Louis and areas like that. So me weighing in with him on that particular issue is not something I've done, nor something that I plan to do.
Now I want to switch to Frank Fahrenkopf and the Debate Commission. Bob Dole has told us every member of the Debate Commission is an ever-Trumper. I'm not surprised by that. I had counseled against doing anything through the commission earlier. You were not part of the executive team when the president agreed to the Debate Commission's rules. Does the president regret allowing them to have the role that they've taken and that they have abused?
Yeah, I think he does. I think they have abused it, Hugh. You're exactly right. Your counsel should have been listened to. Even as recent as yesterday, they were trying to make changes to the debate format and putting up glass between individuals. I mean, just a number of things that may seem minor, but it changes the whole atmosphere, tone, and tenor of how the candidates will engage. But we continue to see, interestingly enough, the topics get picked that are bent to the left. Just the way that it's all structured with the moderators and how they're chosen, it is troubling. And you want a debate to be fair and equal. And most of the debate commission has put forth a plan that does exactly the opposite.
Now, I would ask you to pass on to the president. He can trust Kristen Welker. I know what her family is, Democrats, but I've known Kristen for a while. He can trust Kristen Welker, but I don't know if they can trust the Debate Commission on the mute because they've been so one-sided, and I don't like the topic selection because they're not going to talk about the Abraham Accords. Mr. Chief of Staff, how can we go through 3 debates and not spend half the time on China, Iran, and the Abraham Accords? How can we do that?
Well, they should do that, and Hugh, you're exactly right, and I appreciate you telling me about your colleague that's going to be the moderator. I will share that directly with the president. That's actually a good endorsement coming from someone that I certainly respect. You've had a long history of speaking the truth. Here's the interesting thing, Hugh. When we look at the unbelievable foreign policy accomplishments and where we are, the last 4 years, you can put them up historically speaking to almost any administration when you start to look at the things that have been accomplished. And people that when candidate Donald Trump ran for office, they said, well, his weakest aspect is his foreign policy chops. Well, the results speak for themselves. The Abraham Accords that obviously are not just historic, but they're in a context of just being almost unbelievable, where people have promised that for a long time. But it doesn't stop there. It's the relationships with China, with NATO, with actually holding our allies accountable, but making sure that they're still our friends, and making sure that our adversaries understand that they need to respect us and fear us, that we just don't apologize for America's greatness.
A last question, Mr. Chief of Staff. Mark Meadows is my guest. The president gets to ask the vice president questions tomorrow night. I would like to know if the vice president is going to move the embassy from Jerusalem back to Tel Aviv. I would like to know if he's going to push Israel to de-annex the Golan Heights. And I really hope we get an answer on court packing, which would destroy the republic. Does the president intend to use his time to ask questions that maybe are not on the question set?
Well, let me just tell you, those three questions, I'm just jotting notes down as I listen to them. Maybe, Hugh, your fingerprints might have a little bit to do with some of the questions that get asked. I can tell you this, whether it's moving the embassy to Jerusalem or recognizing the Golan Heights, those are things that were promises made and promises kept by this president. The court packing, we know what Joe Biden's going to do. He's going to try to put in his leftist agenda. He's going to blame it on the fact that we will confirm Amy Coney Barrett, a very qualified judge, to the Supreme Court, and suggest that justifies putting 4 or 5 new leftist judges on there. So all of those questions are certainly appropriate. The problem is we won't have enough time to ask all the questions that Joe Biden needs to answer.
Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, thank you for joining me this morning. I greatly appreciate it. Back to the fray. Good luck with Nancy Pelosi. I don't envy you that task.
All right. Thanks, Hugh. Great to be with you.
America, that is the Chief of Staff of the President leading the point with Treasury Secretary Mnuchin. I am not an optimist about the negotiations. I do believe Kristen Welker will be fair. I've known Kristen for a long time. I've done Meet the Press with her a number of times. I do not believe the debate commission is fair. I think it's broken. Badly, badly broken. But I do trust Kristen. I would like those questions to be asked by Kristen. Will you move the embassy back to Tel Aviv? Because, the Biden-Obama years were horrible for Israel-American relations. President Obama was so hostile to Israel. Nothing got done. President Trump's been Israel's best friend in the Oval Office since Harry Truman. Dick Nixon saved it in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War. But those three, Truman, Nixon, and Trump, Israel's best friends. Time to remind you, relieffactor.com. I take it every morning in the first hour. I then remind you about it in hours 2 and 3. And I hope you're taking it, and I hope you're remembering to get exercise during this period where we're socially distant. Doesn't mean you have to distance yourself from the rowing machine in the basement or the bike with dust on it. There's also a sidewalk outside. You can go walk. And if you've got bad knees or a barking back, Relief Factor supports the temporary relief of minor aches and pains. Come back for a little bit more, America. Stay tuned to the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Trending now on The Dennis Prager Show.
Given the human desire for excitement, it cannot be fully expunged. Nor should it be expunged. So trick number one, if it is indeed a trick, is to be excited over the mundane. I think that's the primary solution to the problem. See, the desire for excitement very frequently leads to bad things. It is not inherently a bad thing, but it does almost inevitably, in very many cases, it leads to bad things. I quoted the terror. I mean, to give the in total extreme, you had SS murderers, and they had a saying, "I never feel as alive as when I'm killing." They're apparently, for some humans, there is quite a rush in killing somebody. The psychopaths who capture people and then kill them often speak about these are true mentally ill psychopaths, but nevertheless there's something to be learned from them. The rush that they get from killing someone is not something I can relate to, but something I can read and believe.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Larry Elder Show.
The indoctrination of the American voter has been going on for a very, very long period of time. And we as Republicans, we as believers in liberty, we as conservatives should have pushed back a lot sooner. And we need to push back harder. That's why I made the Uncle Tom movie, because we also have to fight this battle at the cultural level too. Melissa, thank you so much for that. This is a crucial election. I'll tell you why. These guys get in charge. By these guys, I'm talking about Democrats, of course. Assume they take the presidency. Let's assume they take the Senate, retain control of the House. They're going to immediately get rid of the filibuster so that they can pass any budget they want on a simple majority vote. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Washington, D.C. as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to vote on whether or not to admit Puerto Rico as a state. That gives them 2 more senators. They're going to push for a commission to study reparations, for crying out loud.
Welcome back, America. It's Hugh Hewitt. That was White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Great conversation. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a lot of news. We'll post it at my YouTube channel. And we'll get some excerpts up at Parler, which you ought to join and be a member of. Follow me there. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. What'd you think, and who are you voting for? Let's go to David in Hawaii. Good morning, David.
How are you, Hugh?
Good.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Long-time listener, out here in the islands, first-time caller.
Well, thank you.
But I didn't vote last time. I was kind of disillusioned by the candidates. I mean, I didn't want Hillary, and I didn't know much about Trump except that he was a developer and a TV personality. So I wasn't quite sure if he was qualified to be president at that time.
But now?
Now, I'm in 100%. I mean, from the get-go, the guy, his work ethic, his tenacity, and he keeps his promises. You
David,
don't see that with politicians.
Thank you. I am surprised by this. I may continue the conversation tomorrow with more people. John in Houston, Texas. I hope you heard Wesley Hunt. I hope you're supporting Wesley in Houston.
Unfortunately, I don't live in that district.
Well, but you are voting for the president this time?
Yes, sir.
And you did not do so in 2016?
No, I did not. I am a little ashamed to say I voted for Evan McMullen.
So what changed your mind?
Basically, 3 things, really. Policy, judges, and Trump convinced me that he loves this country, and I didn't. I was a Ted Cruz supporter in the primary. I didn't trust the New York in him, but he is through his policy and everything else. He's convinced me.
You know, I think there are going to be a lot more. I'm surprised by this morning, John. Thank you. I want to talk to Jimmy in Tennessee. Jimmy, how about you? Did you vote for Trump in 2016?
I did not. I was so fed up with wishy-washy rhinos that in past cycles I had voted U.S. Constitution Party. I'm a one-issue voter, and I did not believe Trump when he said he was pro-life, and I do believe it now. He's proven that he does what he says he's going to do, and I will be going Friday to vote early for Trump. I encourage everybody to vote early in case Antifa decides to set the cities on fire the night before the election. So nobody can get to the polls.
I think that could happen in Portland. I don't think it's going to happen anywhere else, but thank you, Jimmy. Tom in Tennessee. Who'd you vote for 4 years ago, Tom?
4 years ago in the primary, I voted for Ted Cruz.
And did you vote for the president? You did not vote, huh?
I did not because I knew he would carry Tennessee, and I just didn't know what to expect. We even talked about him in Sunday school class. Would morally, what kind of a person would he turn out to be in the office? But I think now we found out he is truly a constitutionalist and he loves this country.
And so are you going to vote for him?
I am. My wife and I, and our daughter is 20, and it'll be her first presidential race, and she will be voting for him.
So do these news about long lines at early voting bother you, or are you encouraged by them?
I'm encouraged. It won't deter me. I will be there.
All right. Hey, Tom, thank you. I want to get one more in. Corey in Los Angeles. Corey, who'd you vote for 4 years ago?
Somebody with the last name Johnson, registered independent.
Yeah, Gary Johnson was the Libertarian 4 years ago. I hope nobody throws their vote away this year, either Green Party or Libertarian. I want them to vote for Trump or Biden. I want a real showing of where America is. What are you going to do this year, Corey?
Too important. Trump. But we'll be voting for Trump. I talked to my wife. She'll be voting for Trump also.
Why did you change your mind?
In 16, I didn't really follow politics. I actually have a cousin that subscribes to your podcast, and he would, I would check in with him, get some advice from him. But in 16, I didn't really follow much. The media perception sort of Trump was something I'm conservative, but I didn't approve of him. Excuse me. And he's proven to us that, he loves this country. He loves conservative values. He does what he says he's going to do. He seems like he's an outsider and somebody who actually cares about, us, our future, our taxes. And so we're convinced.
I am so glad to hear that. I hope you get other people to go to the polls. Thank you, Corey. Remember, America, keepamerica.com is where you can go to get advice, location of your polling place. Go and vote early in Ohio, in Michigan, in Arizona, in Florida. I got an email from my friends in North Carolina. They're new American citizens, brand new American citizens. Here we voted for President Donald Trump. We voted for DJT because he has the type of policies we believe in and because he's a strong leader. The liberal agenda is dangerous for the country. As new Americans, we both came from countries who lost their faith and way via liberal agenda. This decision was easy. I am not worried by these turnout numbers. I think there is a lot a lot of pollsters are looking over their shoulder. Watch those polls over the next week. Thanks to Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Great call with him. We will post the audio and the video over at Hugh Hewitt YouTube channel, and the transcript will be up soon. Thanks for listening, America. I'll be back tomorrow with more of the Hugh Hewitt Show.